Chapter 9:36. In the boundless sea, a pitch-black warship was slowly moving forward. The surrounding seawater was split apart by the warship, splashing everywhere. In front of the warship, 6 Demon King-level experts stood, clasping their hands behind their backs. Looking at the thick black clouds in the sky, their faces became incomparably solemn. Is this the storm of the endless sea? It's really a little terrifying. It's so oppressive that it's hard to breathe. A Demon King said solemnly. As Demon King experts, their strength had reached the 8-mark heavenly ethereal realm. They could be said to be omnipotent. To them, normal storms were simply harmless. However, this time, the storm made them feel extremely oppressed. Look, there seems to be living beings in the distance. The Demon Eagle's Demon King spread his wings, his figure flying high in the sky. Looking into the distance, he seemed to see the huge black waves in the distance, as well as the marine species creatures emerging from the sea. What was happening? Why were there so many marine species creatures emerging from the surface of the sea? The Demon Kings were a little puzzled. In the vault of the sky, thunder rumbled. That rumbling sound was ear-splitting, but it made the Demon Kings reveal a cold smile. After sailing for so long in this boundless, endless sea, this time they finally met living beings. Since that was the case, they had to ask for directions. Boom! The Demon Eagle's Demon King's wings suddenly spread open. In the next instant, his figure shot out into the distance. Everyone, wait for my good news. The Demon Eagle's Demon King's voice came from afar. There were still a few days before the opening of the Dragon Gate. Below the storm, there were more and more marine species experts. All of them popped their heads out, their faces filled with excitement as they looked at the storm in the sky. Bufong sat cross-legged on the Netherworld ship, bored to death. Hua hugged Yu's thigh, sitting at the side, drooling as he slept soundly. The Black Dragon King licked his face, supporting the water column as he waited not far from the Netherworld ship. From time to time, he would look at the sleeping Hua, a trace of affection appearing in his eyes. Wait, what the hell was affection? Did the Black Dragon King really put himself in the shoes of Little Flower's father? Bufong glanced at the Black Dragon King, the corner of his mouth twitching. The Black Dragon King seemed to feel Bufong's gaze on him, instantly turning his head to look at Bufong, revealing a cold smile. Bufong rolled his eyes. His mind flickered, sinking into the heaven and earth farmland. If he was bored, he might as well go and plant in the farmland. On the grassland, 80, who had become a little fat from eating, was running around at an extremely fast speed, clucking continuously. The 3-eyed wild lion followed 88, its mane slowly fluttering. When Bufong came to the heaven and earth farmland, he received Neo Hansen's enthusiastic response. Then, he continued to open up other areas of the farmland. The tiger-head shark had woken up. At this moment, it was hiding in a corner of the river, its face frightened. Neo Hansen smiled and said, "That fellow woke up and made a fuss. It even said that it wanted to eat me, Neo Hansen. With my hot temper, of course, I couldn't stand it. Thus, I Neo Hansen beat it up. No, twice." Neo Hansen's cultivation base was much higher than the tiger-head shark's, so it was reasonable for the tiger-head shark to be beaten up. Bufong walked to the riverbank, and the tiger-head shark became even more frightened. It crouched down the riverbank, almost climbing up. Swish! In the river, Brother Octopus roared, throwing another octopus tentacle at Bufong. Brother Octopus hated Bufong to the extreme. The dragon bone kitchen knife in Bufong's hand spun, cutting off the octopus tentacle. With a thud, the octopus tentacle fell to the ground, twitching unceasingly. Putting the octopus tentacle into the system-dimensional bag, Bufong clasped his hands, indifferently looking at Brother Octopus. Then, he turned around and walked away. Brother Octopus' chest tightened. Did that fellow appear just to take away one of his octopus tentacles? What kind of grudge did he have? After strolling around the vegetable garden and feeling the spirit energy emanating from the vegetables, Bufong nodded in satisfaction. The heaven and earth farmland was full of vitality. Bufong was very satisfied. Every time he came here, He could feel the spirit energy in the air getting thicker and thicker. Because he had planted more and more spirit herbs, the vegetables also had spirit energy. Thus, the spirit energy in the air was getting thicker and thicker. For others, it would become a holy land of cultivation. However, Bufang did not rely on cultivation to increase his cultivation, so it was useless. Bufang's requirements were not high. As long as they could grow good fruits and vegetables, it would be fine. Returning to the Netherworld ship, the Black Dragon King seemed a little surprised that Bufang had just disappeared. Of course, Bufang was too lazy to explain anything. He just nodded at the ladder. Then, in front of the ladder's dumbfounded eyes, he took out a fat octopus tentacle. Not only the octopus tentacle, but Bufang also took out the demon frog meat he had collected from the system dimensional bag. This demon frog meat was an ingredient of Demon King level experts. Compared to Brother Octopus' octopus tentacle, it was much better. Bufang thought that since there was still some time before the Dragon Gate opened, he might as well have a good meal. Anyway, waiting was one thing, but he couldn't starve himself. Black Turtle Constellation Wok, oil, seasoning, scale tail scallion, purple garlic, fine wine, fragrant vinegar. When Bufang took out the seasoning from the system dimensional bag, he looked at Bufang's face. The eyes of the surrounding people became even more strange, and they were speechless. When other people came to the Endless Sea, they would act as if they were facing a great enemy, and they would be extremely vigilant. But Bufang, he came to the Endless Sea just to eat, right? If these oceanic species creatures knew that ever since Bufang entered the Endless Sea, he had been eating delicacies unceasingly, they would be even more speechless. After setting up the grill, Bufang opened his mouth and spat out a dark gold heaven and earth obsidian flame. The heaven and earth obsidian flame fell into the wok, and instantly it burned fiercely, releasing an extreme temperature. The iron mesh on the grill was slightly red. The temperature above was so high that even the air became distorted, cutting the octopus tentacle into several pieces, each of which was quite plump. After Bufang cleaned the octopus tentacle, he put it into the seasoning plate and marinated it for a while. The Black Dragon King and many other oceanic species creatures looked at Bufang with a dazed face. They had never seen such a dazzling cooking method before. In the Dragon Palace of the Black Dragon King of the Endless Sea, there was no such thing as cooking. What they ate were all raw ingredients. Could this kind of cooked ingredient be eaten? Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. When Bufang put a piece of marinated octopus tentacle on the grill, instantly, a sizzling sound burst out, startling the oceanic species experts around. Damn, there's actually a sound. And why is it so fragrant? It was a kind of fragrance emitted after the fat was cooked. With the Netherworld ship as the center, this fragrance spread out, attracting the surrounding marine species creatures. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. After smearing the golden oil, the octopus tentacle curled up and the juice dripped on the heaven and earth obsidian flame. Instantly, it evaporated, releasing a fragrant smell. The Black Dragon King stared at the grill, his heart filled with surprise. "Little brother Bufang, what are you doing?" The Black Dragon King asked curiously. As someone who had tasted Owner Boo's cooking, Aobai naturally knew that Bufang was good at cooking. Aobai was also familiar with the Black Dragon King. He knew that the moment the Black Dragon King opened his mouth, he knew that this shameless Black Dragon King was going to cheat others for food again. He flipped the octopus tentacle on the grill. Steam rose, but the moment it rose out of the Netherworld ship, it was smashed by the storm. Hua was awakened by the fragrance. Her eyes brightened. Hugging her knees, she squatted not far from Bufang, staring at the fat octopus tentacle on the grill. Bufang glanced at Hua, the corners of his mouth rising. Then he flicked his hand, and that piece of octopus tentacle meat flew out. Golden liquid swirled on it, filling the air with a fragrant aroma. He sprinkled some seasoning on it. It was even more tempting to taste buds. "The first piece is for you, little girl," Bufang said casually. To this, Hua revealed a happy smile. She stood up, reaching out to grab the scalding grilled squid tentacle meat. Because it was too hot, Xiaohua blew on it and bit down on it happily. The meat juice seeped out of the corner of her mouth. The golden juice dripped down, creating a taste that lingered in people's mouths. Bufang's barbecue would definitely make people completely immersed in it. He placed the demon frog meat and the remaining octopus tentacle meat on the grill, starting to grill. The sizzling sounds came with the fragrance. After eating one piece of meat, he wanted to eat a second piece. He was looking forward to Bufang's barbecue. You ate a piece of demon frog meat. No matter what, it was a Demon King level ingredient. Eating it would make people unable to stop. The Black Dragon King's stomach was rumbling with hunger. His saliva constantly dripped down. Too fragrant. Simply too fragrant. The aroma that filled the air made the Black Dragon King's stomach wriggle. That aroma seemed to be able to steal people's souls. Bufang, little friend, can you give this Dragon King a piece of meat? It looks very special, the Black Dragon King said, looking at Little Flower holding a piece of demon frog meat and eating with his mouth full of oil. His heart felt like it was being scratched by 10,000 claws. Sizzle. After flipping the last piece of demon frog meat, Bufang stopped barbecuing. Picking up his chopsticks, he picked up a piece of piping hot demon frog meat and stuffed it into his mouth. Then, he turned to look at the Black Dragon King. Bufang chewed and said, "Do you want to eat it? I don't have enough ingredients. Bring me some ingredients. I'll grill it for you." Any ingredients are fine. Seafood or birds. Right? Do you have oysters? That thing tastes even better when grilled. The Black Dragon King was excited. It turned out that he wanted ingredients. That was easy. As the Black Dragon King of the Endless Sea Dragon Palace, he didn't have any ingredients. Oysters? No matter how big the oysters were, he could find them. Thus, the Black Dragon King hurriedly summoned a subordinate and asked him to find the ingredients that Bufang mentioned. In the sky, the Demon Eagle's Demon King's figure flew over rapidly. His wings spread out in the sky, as if to cover the sky and cover the sun. When the Demon Eagle's Demon King flew over, he immediately saw the Netherworld ship. His face froze, and then a wave of uneasiness spread in his heart. Netherworld ship? Why would the King Netherworld ship be here? Shouldn't it be in the Valley of Gluttony? The Demon Eagle's Demon King's eagle eyes shrank. He saw the steam rising from the deck of the Netherworld ship, as well as the fragrance and familiar smell that spread out from the steam. This smell? Oh my God! It's the Demon Frog's Demon King. The once all-powerful Demon Frog's Demon King. In the end, he still became an ingredient. The Demon Eagle's Demon King felt a burst of sorrow in his heart. Suddenly, the Demon Eagle's Demon King noticed that the chef on the deck seemed to raise his head to look at him. Then, he said something to the Baldy in front of him. That Baldy raised his head, his eyes shining as if he had seen some treasure. A wave of uneasiness shrouded the Demon Eagle's Demon King's heart. Old Black, do you see that pair of wings in the sky? If you can get that pair of wings, I'll let you taste the deliciousness of grilled wings. Bufang glanced at the Demon Eagle's Demon King. Then the corners of his mouth twitched as he said to the Black Dragon King. Chapter 9:37. However, very quickly, Bufang happily received the Demon Eagle wings. He had a new Demon King grade ingredient. The Demon Eagle Demon King was a little flustered. How could this guy be so fast? However, under the Black Dragon King's sharp gaze, he didn't say a word, turning around and running away. Your whole family is the real delicacy. Under this claw, the many streaks of black energy were all shattered. My life already has nothing to think about. After obtaining the 2 Demon Eagle wings, the Black Dragon King released the Demon Eagle Demon King in satisfaction, turning into his bald form. Grabbing one of the wings with each hand, he giggled foolishly in the void. The Demon Eagle covered the sky. That huge wing spread out, as though it was covering the vault of heaven. The Demon Eagle Demon King was so angry that he went crazy. "Daughter, your father's awesome, right? You damn bastard." The Black Dragon King of the Endless Sea. Just you wait. After transforming into a human, he could walk in the void. There a figure was flapping his wings, floating in the void. What kind of inhumane treatment did he have to endure? As experts of the ruined prison who rarely entered the endless sea, they were seasick. Many demon kings looked at each other, not knowing if they should say it or not. The strongest demon king walked out of the crack, his eyes sweeping across the crowd. His lips curled, slowly smiling. Hua's triflower snake eyes turned, looking at him with an expressionless face. A demon king said with a smile. The demon king's face was pale, his mouth coughing out blood. Blood was constantly flowing out his back. Oh my God! The demon king realized that as long as they were related to that little chef, their cultivation seemed to be terrifyingly strong. The demon king let out a long cry, his eagle cry loud and clear. Then his figure constantly expanded, turning into a huge demon eagle. The storm was sweeping, constantly attacking the gale. That figure was still standing in the storm. However, the Black Dragon King wasn't satisfied. His dragon mouth bit down, biting on one of the shoulders. Today, a pair of delicious roasted wings was about to be placed in front of him. How could he miss it? The demon king felt that he had really suffered an undeserved disaster. Rumble. The demon king was instantly shocked, feeling a little incredulous. Many experts from the ruined prison who had followed along were lying on the side of the ship, vomiting continuously. Little bastard, you sure run fast. The bald man stared at him excitedly, as if he was looking at a delicious delicacy. His figure floated down. That chef's background was too powerful. The clouds in the sky were thick and black. You're the King grilled wings. Devil Eagle's devil master was enraged and roared. Delicious? Could there have been an accident? Anyway, this endless sea doesn't look ordinary at first glance. The demon master was so frightened that he peed his pants. Demon demon master's wings are gone? He was just saying it casually. The demon king really did not think that the netherworld ship would actually appear here. That chef from the Valley of Gluttony had also appeared on the endless sea. Except, no matter how he swung, the Black Dragon King seemed to be glued to his back and simply could not be shaken off. How could the big eagle be the Black Dragon King's opponent? After being entangled, one of its wings was instantly torn off. Flapping his wings, the demon king began to display his difficult flying skills. His figure circled in the air, trying to shake off the Black Dragon King on his back. The Black Dragon King only wanted the wings, so he did not care about the demon king. Get down for this, Lord. Just as the many demon kings were hesitating, raising their heads, they suddenly found that a spatial crack had been torn open above the warship. The demon kings also felt a little stifled. The Black Dragon King muttered. He silently mourned for the demon king for a few minutes. However, there seemed to be true energy revolving around the Black Dragon King's body, knocking away all the feathers that the demon king had blasted down. Both sides of his wings were torn off, and jet black blood sprayed in the sky. The Black Dragon King's figure was like a cannonball, shooting up into the sky. That bald head was like a light bulb, shining brightly. Looking at the incomparably powerful aura of the strongest demon king, boom! The corners of the Black Dragon King's mouth were drooling. He was really tempted by Bu Fong's dishes, and his appetite was greatly increased. The Black Dragon King's eyes lit up, and his smooth, mirror-like bald head instantly flashed with a luster. He raised his head, looking at the sky. Blood splattered across the sky. The demon king's flesh was in so much pain that his entire body was twitching. Grilled wings. Don't go. A pair of eyes filled with resentment stared at the Black Dragon King. The demon king's eyes were lifeless, and he started to cry bitterly. His aura was weak, and his face was filled with despair. His eyes were dead, as if he had lost the entire world. Rumble. A claw reached out, as if it wanted to scratch and shatter the illusionary void. The demon king wanted to force the Black Dragon King to retreat. Are you King kidding me? Their hearts instantly trembled. That damned bald-headed old man. TSK, TSK, TSK. You big bird. How about this Dragon King lend you a pair of wings? When the Black Dragon King saw this scene, his eyes instantly widened. He didn't King do anything. He just came over to make a splash. The Demon King's heart tightened. Then, he planned to flap his wings and turn around to leave. Right now, these ruined prison Demon Kings really had a guard against fire, theft, and chefs, accompanied by the Demon King's miserable howl. The sky full of feathers fluttered down. The Demon King was enraged to the extreme. However, when he was enraged, his heart was also a little flustered. All of a sudden, a Demon King with sharp eyes saw the Demon King, who was swaying in the sky as he floated back. A Demon King sucked in a breath of cold air. Why is the Demon King gone for so long? A Demon King furrowed his brows, a little puzzled. However, facing this true energy, the Black Dragon King smiled disdainfully. With a bang, the Demon King fell on the warship, his entire body twitching. What did he do? The Demon King was so depressed that he almost vomited blood. The saliva in his mouth swayed in the wind. However, just as he was about to fly back, above the sea surface, a deafening dragon roar suddenly resounded. Why was the other party like a ghost haunting him? Inexplicably, this bald man came up and tore off his wings. Once, there was a sincere roasted frog meat in front of him, but he missed it. Today's roasted wings. He naturally had to fight for it, so that the regret would not repeat itself. However, although the Demon King had lost his wings, his cultivation did not disappear. Puff! However, soon, the smile on his face froze. The Demon King. Why was he so miserable? The strong wind howled unceasingly, rolling up the waves of the endless sea. It actually broke his attack with a single claw. A burly figure slowly walked out from within, and a terrifying aura instantly filled the air. Don't think too much. With the Demon Eagle's cultivation, who in the hidden dragon continent can do anything to him? On the endless sea, many oceanic species experts couldn't help but raise their heads, watching the battle in the void. The Demon King had turned into an ingredient being cooked by this chef. That was the pain in the hearts of all the Demon Kings. However, facing all of this, the Demon King was also powerless. Of course, continue forward. The opportunity that this lord has waited for 10,000 years has finally appeared. His figure turned, and his wings flapped. The feathers on his wings instantly shot out, looking like sharp blades. The Demon King roared. Oh, or rather, it was a crushing battle. He recounted what had happened just now in bits and pieces, causing many of the demon masters to be dumbfounded. Above his body, black nether energy twirled. Soon, it turned into streaks of light, shooting toward the Black Dragon King. He wanted to kill the Black Dragon King completely. What should we do now? Should we still continue forward? His wings were already torn off. Was he going to be reasonable? What did this bald man want to do? Otherwise, how could the Demon Eye and the Demon Frog be crippled and killed? Scram! The Black Dragon King's claws grabbed the Demon Eagle's wings, sinking deep into his flesh, causing the Demon Eagle to feel a wave of pain. The warship stopped on the vast sea, and several Demon Kings stood on the deck. As the waves surged, the warship constantly bobbed up and down. Roasted wings? They could finally go and get back their face, showing the dignity that belonged to the ruined prison's Demon Kings. What exactly happened? The Demon King's wings. Why did they disappear? Was it snatched away by someone? The Black Dragon King raised his hand and touched his bald head, grinning foolishly. He looked at Hua, raising his eyebrows proudly. With a flap of his wings, a few feathers fell. His figure seemed to turn into a straight black line, speeding into the distance. I am the noble Demon King. Damn it, there's a chef here. I must ask the others to leave quickly. His feet stepped on the void, and then the Black Dragon King's figure instantly soared into the sky, landing on the demon eagle's back. He, the demon eagle demon king, was not stupid. The Black Dragon King once again landed on the water column, handing the two huge demon eagle wings to Buffon. Why is that chef haunting us? We have already settled for the next best thing, coming to the endless sea. That chef, I'm afraid he's poisonous. The more he thought about it, the more the demon eagle demon king's heart ached. Looking at the demon eagle wings that the Baldy was holding, looking at his charming wings being torn apart just like that, the demon eagle felt as if his heart was being torn apart. When the Black Dragon King saw this scene, he couldn't help but shake his head. The demon eagle demon king seemed to be drunk, staggering in the void. Finally, he appeared not far from the warship. When the various demon kings saw the demon eagle demon king's appearance, their hearts trembled. In the next instant, his entire face became ferocious, and his figure suddenly elongated. Black scales grew on his skin, turning into a long, ferocious black dragon, coiling around the demon eagle demon king's figure. This is too much. The dragon opened its mouth, and sharp fangs appeared in its mouth. It fiercely bit down on the demon eagle demon king's wings. The demon masters were all discussing animatedly. The netherworld ship was in front, and the chef from the Valley of Gluttony was also in front. He didn't want to continue fighting. Borrow a pair of wings? The various demon kings' faces were blank, and then they were pleasantly surprised. Who exactly was this bald-headed geezer? The demon eagle demon king's proudest thing was his pair of wings. If he lent his wings to someone, what was the difference between that and plucking all the hair on his body? What's more, how could he get his wings back after lending them? His wings had been plucked away. The demon eagle demon king's heart softened, and he almost peed in his pants. When he regained his senses, he was enraged. The demon eagle, who had lost his wings, instantly lost his balance and started to fall rapidly in the void. The Black Dragon King pursed his lips. That guy actually dared to threaten the Black Dragon King of the Endless Sea Dragon Palace. He must have eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's gall. The demon eagle demon king roared. He wasn't the demon frog demon king, so how could he be an ingredient? The corner of Bu Fong's mouth twitched. He didn't think that the Black Dragon King would really pluck the demon eagle demon king's wings off. Looks like I can only do it myself. Why don't you listen when I'm trying to reason with you? The strongest demon king finally came out of seclusion. Look, the demon eagle is back. I told you that nothing would happen. Little friend Buffon, look. Aren't these two wings not bad? Chapter 9:38. The Black Dragon King's skin was rough, and his flesh was thick. Grabbing the lid of the boiling oyster, he wasn't afraid of the heat at all. He blew on the oyster to disperse the heat. Roasting oysters was actually very simple. There wasn't any complicated process. The main thing was the sauce used to roast the oyster. The sauce was the key to determining the taste. The Black Dragon King's eyes lit up. Another ingredient? The Black Dragon King swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Rumble. One of the Black Dragon King's subordinates instantly rushed out from the bottom of the sea. Stepping on a water column, he appeared in front of the Black Dragon King. Finally, he placed the processed oyster on the grill, roasting it together with the chicken wings. All of a sudden, a void crack appeared above the netherworld ship. The Black Dragon King sucked in a deep breath. I've been looking forward to it for so long. My opportunity is finally here. At this time, the grilled chicken wings were almost done. Standing in front of the warship, the strongest demon king clasped his hands, narrowing his eyes as he looked at the storm in the void. The golden dragon bone kitchen knife appeared in Bu Fong's hand. He gently made a few cuts on the grilled wings, causing the top meat to be immediately torn apart. The aroma of the meat became even more intense. However, he couldn't refute Bu Fong. Didn't he see that Hua's gloomy face brightened after hearing Bu Fong's words? Waves shot up to the sky in extremely fast speed. With every step, huge waves would surge behind them. Delicious. The Black Dragon King could only reply to Hua with a helpless expression. If Bu Fong didn't want to do it, he couldn't force Bu Fong to do it. The necessary seasoning for a roasted oyster was done. The amount of purple garlic was a little too much, which could remove the fishy smell of the oyster. The old man stared at the sky in the distance, his eyes becoming brighter. I can't let a demon eagle ruin my big plan. The strongest demon king looked at the warship, at the demon eagle demon king, whose face was filled with despair. The muscles on his face couldn't help but slightly tremble. The chicken wings on the rack of the black turtle constellation walk, enduring the dark gold heaven and earth obsidian flame, were slowly turning golden. How could it be so delicious? With a shake of his hand, Bufong sprinkled the seasoning on the food. The aroma spread out like silk. The subordinate bowed respectfully towards the Dragon King and said, when the wings were done, the Dragon Gate emerged. It smells so good as expected of grilled chicken wings. A silhouette came riding on the waves. He glanced at the ingredients piled up on the netherworld ship. With a move of his mind swept out, and all the ingredients were stored into the heaven and earth farmland. Receiving a conch from his subordinate, his mind flickered, and the conch blossomed with radiance. A wave of light swept across, and a huge pile of ingredients piled up on the deck of the netherworld ship. While roasting the wings, Bufong said lightly, "Hua," and you watched resentfully as Bufong and the Black Dragon King ate the roasted oysters. They could only drool. However, the only response he got was Bufong's chuckle. The seawater exploded. The oyster that the Black Dragon King's subordinate found was quite big. The meat was plump, and it looked very appetizing. Moreover, with the seasoning that Bufong had added, the taste would definitely be explosive. Bufong narrowed his eyes, enjoying the rich and pure flavor of the sea. Then he said, "Dogs have a much more comfortable life than you." As the delicious taste burst forth, Bufong's eyes slightly lit up. It was only now that he was able to taste such a steaming hot, fragrant, and delicacies that left a lingering fragrance in his mouth. In the sky, thunder boomed. The air was filled with a solemn atmosphere, making it hard for everyone to breathe. In the sky, when the chicken wings are done, Hua can eat first. Then, under the watchful eyes of many oceanic species experts, with a slurping sound, he swallowed the big piece of oyster meat. That storm had been brewing for a long time, and it seemed like a miracle was about to happen. All of the oceanic species creatures became excited, letting out all kinds of exclamations. That would be a little too much. A wave of meaty aromas spread out, stirring people's taste buds. Many people couldn't help but look in the direction where the aroma was coming from. The moist ingredients released a rich smell that belonged to the sea. In the oyster meat, all kinds of seasoning had melted together, and a thick fragrance burst forth. It was very rich, and with the spiciness of the exploding flame pepper, it was even thicker. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. As a father, the Black Dragon King didn't dare to make his daughter angry. Hence, when the Black Dragon King said that he had wasted his life, Bufong didn't agree. The demon kings of the ruined prison had never suffered such grievances before. In an instant, all of them became silent. Oil continuously dripped from the chicken wings. After all, this was a demon king level ingredient, so it took a long time to cook. That was because the strongest demon king didn't seem to have any intention of helping them. The whirlpool of clouds began to spin, and lightning continuously shot out. The strongest demon king said in a serious tone. The Black Dragon King looked at Bufong, saying, all the demon kings were slightly taken aback. Then they all sucked in a breath of cold air. Their gazes as they looked at the demon eagle demon king were filled with a lot more sympathy. Bufong also took a grilled oyster, stuffing it into his mouth. A portion of grilled oyster was instantly lifted up, flying towards the Black Dragon King. In the distance, on the warship of the ruined prison, little friend Bufong grilled an oyster for this dragon's daughter. It seemed like the dragon's gate was about to open. However, right now, Bufong's main goal was to grill the chicken wings. Taking out the shell of the oyster, he also took out the cleaned oyster meat and placed it back into the shell. Then he scooped 1 or 2 spoonfuls of seasoning. Bufong's secret grilled chicken wings. Done. The Black Dragon King's face instantly stiffened. Of course, if Bufong knew what he was thinking, he would definitely chuckle. Every day, the Lord Go would wake up and eat. After eating, he would sleep. What he ate was the sweet and sour ribs that he had cooked. The taste of the sweet and sour ribs was not any worse than the grilled oyster. They were indeed in the wrong. Back then, before the strongest demon king closed the restaurant, he had instructed them. However, they didn't listen and acted on their own. In the end, they suffered heavy injuries. The Black Dragon King's face was a little dark, and his bald head was shining. In his heart, he was praying that the Dragon Gate would open after he finished his grilled chicken wings. As he bit down, the juices in the oyster meat seemed to burst out, spraying onto the walls of his mouth. This caused the Black Dragon King's eyes to suddenly widen and become round, his eyes filled with excitement. The demonized Demon King was beaten up, and only his eyeball was left. The Demon Frog's Demon King was slaughtered and used as an ingredient. Then, looking at Bufong, he was so depressed that he almost vomited blood. However, this Dragon Gate wouldn't open when little friend Bufong finished grilling the chicken wings, right? Bufong looked at the Black Dragon King and said calmly. They also didn't want it to be like this, but the development of things often deviated from their expectations. Bufong, on the other hand, didn't care in the slightest. Regarding the so-called opening of the Dragon Gate, it wasn't as important as the dish in his hands. Grilling the chicken wings was his current priority. Then, under the gazes of tens of thousands of people, a door that emitted an extreme radiance slowly emerged from the vortex of black clouds. Juice droplets splashed into that flame, and after they evaporated, they let out sizzling sounds. The strongest Demon King coldly snorted, causing every Demon King to feel a wave of bitterness in their hearts. A layer of golden oil was brushed on it, causing the grilled chicken wings to look golden and shiny. Bufong moved closer to take a look. After carefully observing it for a while, he could confirm that the oyster was already grilled. As time passed, the oyster that was placed on the grill had already started to boil. The meat inside was slowly jumping because of the scalding soup. However, when he inhaled, he instantly smelled the aroma of grilled chicken wings, causing him to involuntarily cough a few times. The demon eye was smashed, the demon frog was killed, and the demon eagle's wings were also plucked. What do you guys still look like, Demon Kings? Don't make a move. Do you see this storm? That's a sign that a good opportunity is about to appear. That little chef from the Valley of Gluttony also appeared here, which proves my guess even more. Bufong's gaze shifted to the oyster on the ground. Surging spirit energy gushed out from the vortex of black clouds. His mental energy surged out. The Black Dragon King stepped on the water column, both of his hands lying on the deck of the Netherworld ship. His mouth was wide open, and saliva flowed out. Your Excellency Dragon King, the ingredients you asked us to find have been found. A thunderous explosion resounded, and the entire sky seemed as though it was about to explode. Compared to grilling chicken wings, grilling oysters was indeed much easier. Far from the endless sea, the dragon bone kitchen knife was incomparably sharp. When it slashed down, it directly opened the shell of the oyster, revealing the flesh inside. Anyway, Nyohan-san was in the heaven and earth farmland. That old cow would help him deal with the ingredients. He hoped that the strongest Demon King would take action and kill the expert who insulted their Demon King. It was an old man with his hands clasped. A tuft of white hair on his head swayed in the wind. A Demon King looked at the strongest Demon King and said, "The strongest Demon King." The Demon Eagle's wings were plucked by someone not long ago. The other party is in the distance. It's a creature from the oceanic species. This kid didn't say that before. He said that he would let I taste the chicken wings first. With his mouth full, the Black Dragon King fiercely took a bite. Didn't I remind you not to provoke the Valley of Gluttony? Why didn't you listen? After eating a piece of oyster meat, the Black Dragon King was completely intoxicated, completely immersed in Bufong's delicious food. The Black Dragon King instantly became vigilant. He lifted his head, his incomparably sharp eyes gazing at the void. This is a grilled oyster. You can try it. When the Black Dragon King saw Hua's pouting appearance, he was a little flustered. He took out some purple garlic, smashed it, and diced it. Then he added some sun mother ginger, finely chopped exploding flame pepper, fragrant vinegar, wine, and other seasonings, stirring them. Woo! Woo! While grilling the chicken wings, Buffon also paid attention to the process of grilling the oyster. Swish! Little girl, why are you eating grilled oyster? Rumble! The Black Dragon King was bewildered. Then, with a face full of joy, he received the grilled oyster from Buffon. Thick smoke billowed. It hovered above the endless sea, and the waves parted. Buffon took out the white oyster meat and washed it. However, Buffon still kept 2 oysters. Regarding grilled oysters, Buffon was also very interested. However, they soon realized that they were wrong. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The Black Dragon King was shocked, completely immersed. He couldn't imagine what kind of delicacy was in his mouth. The Black Dragon King felt that he had lived for so long in vain. The strongest Demon King stared at the black cloud whirlpool, and the smile on his face gradually became thicker. The strongest Demon King said coldly. His voice contained a bit of pressure, causing the other Demon Kings to tremble slightly. Then, a fat dog slowly walked out of the void crack with its enchanting cat-like steps. Buffon's control of the fire was very meticulous. He wouldn't let the chicken wings get scorched. Is it starting? Buffon, who was grilling the chicken wings, instantly furrowed his brows. Chapter 9:39. The next time it appeared, it was in front of the Black Dragon King. Grabbing the wing, he bit into it. Instantly, the oil and meat juices splashed out. In front of all the oceanic species experts, Buffon, who was standing on the Netherworld ship, slowly took a step forward. Sweet and sour dragon ribs. The Black Dragon King was bewildered. What was that thing? His wing, which clearly belonged to him. In the end, it was snatched away by that lazy dog. In the distance, the stench of blood instantly filled the air. The oceanic species experts were extremely vigilant as they stared at that warship. Who had already eaten until her mouth was full of oil. Her small mouth pouted, spitting out a bone. Lord Go narrowed his eyes, taking elegant cat-like steps as he descended from the sky. Soon, he landed on the Netherworld ship. The wing, which was covered in all kinds of seasonings, emitted steam. Lord Go mercilessly snatched it away. Lying on the side of the Netherworld ship, he began to chomp down on it. Very good. Follow me to the Heaven Chief realm, the light figure said indifferently. It was high and mighty, as if it was a big charity. However, before the Black Dragon King could stabilize his body, the Demon Eagle Demon King popped his head out from behind the strongest Demon King. Seeing the Black Dragon King's shining eyes, he was so scared that his entire body shivered. Wait a minute. Buffon suddenly remembered that the chef in the Bronze Palace had said that if Buffon wanted to enter the Heaven Chief realm, he would need to use the strand of immortal energy he had absorbed as the key. The Black Dragon King's bald head shone as he roared. Lord Go opened his mouth and stuck out his tongue, revealing an incomparably excited expression. The turtle that had transformed into an old man turned a deaf ear to the strongest Demon King's words, continuing to rush towards the Dragon Gate. That was because he had heard Buffon's somewhat embarrassed words. Lord Go once again raised his exquisite dog paw, slapping down. With a boom, the Black Dragon King was once again smashed into the water. The Black Dragon King instantly looked like he was about to explode. Fragrant, spicy, crispy, delicious. The dog's fur was stained with fragrant oil. The huge old tortoise was also sent flying by the axe. The Lord Go was stunned. He turned his head around and saw the Black Dragon King. In an instant, his eyes lit up. That was because they discovered that their supreme Black Dragon King was actually beaten by a dog to the point where he couldn't even retaliate. It smells so good, so it should taste even better, right? The aroma of the roasted wings lingered in the air, causing the Demon Eagle Demon Master's face to darken. Buffon praised. Lord Go glanced at the Black Dragon King and said indifferently. However, it was directly shattered by a powerful force, and thick blood immediately appeared on the surface of the sea. The strongest Demon King's eyes narrowed. Then, he let out a deafening roar. In the next instant, his body suddenly expanded, and his muscles were like a horned dragon. One for Bufong, one for Hua, and you, and the last one. I heard they want to eat dog meat. In the distance, the Black Dragon King, who was stepping on the water column, saw this scene, and his eyes widened. Then, his figure disappeared from the spot as if he had teleported. The light shadow turned around, intending to walk towards the light gate. Dragon. And it's a dragon with the bloodline of the divine dragon. Bufong. Lord Go, I want to eat sweet and sour dragon ribs. Following that, everyone was stunned, especially the oceanic species experts. Their faces looked as though they had seen a ghost. Then, a cold voice opened. Where is the mortal who obtained the key to the Heaven Chief realm? Please come out. Then, the Black Dragon King opened his mouth, preparing to speak. However, the Lord Go's exquisite dog paw had already come out, patting the Black Dragon King's bald head. The Black Dragon King staggered, and his figure seemed to turn into a shooting star in the air, suddenly crashing into the endless sea. The Dragon Gate has appeared. Charge! The strongest Demon King held the giant axe, as though he could hold the pass alone against 10,000 enemies. The oceanic species creatures slapped the water, rushing out of the seabed, leaping towards the light gate in the sky. All the creatures in the surrounding endless sea became restless at this moment. You mangy dog, you actually want to eat the Black Dragon King? A figure shrouded in golden light stepped out of the light door. Blood splattered across the sky. He glanced at the dazzling gate in the sky, and white smoke puffed out from his nostrils. He stared at the light gate in the sky, his heart surging. As expected, the opening of the Dragon Gate made his old friends impatient. Biting a piece of tender wing skin, it was as though the wing skin had an elastic texture, bouncing in the walls of his mouth. Sweet and sour dragon ribs, the dish that Bufong is best at. The taste is excellent, and the dragon meat is crispy. Rumble. Bufong looked at the Lord Go and the Black Dragon King, not saying anything. What should he do? Bufong couldn't help but be bewildered. What just happened? He didn't think that the Demon King's meat would be so fragrant when roasted. Interesting. I don't have any wings anymore. Suddenly, the Lord Go's dog paw lightly tapped on the Netherworld ship. He was the one who got the wings, but he didn't even get to eat a fart. Then, the Black Dragon King came back to his senses. His bald head seemed as though it was about to explode. Seeking death. This was a Demon King grade ingredient. It was roasted until it was golden and tender. The roasted wing meat was emitting a golden radiance. That light figure's eyes were high up in the sky, indifferently glancing at the strongest Demon King. In the next instant, it raised a finger. It caused huge waves to rise in the endless sea. Here, Bufong said expressionlessly. Who do you think you are? What right do you have to make us scram? The appearance of the light gate seemed to be some kind of signal. Could it be that it smelled the roasted chicken wings? Indeed, other than food, nothing could attract this lazy dog. You fat dog, this Dragon King wants to eat you. The taste of dog meat is absolutely delicious. It's even more delicious than the oysters that little friend Bufong roasted. Most of the oceanic species creatures jumped up halfway before losing their strength and falling back into the sea. Countless splashes flew everywhere. The Black Dragon King's eyes shrank. He didn't think that the lazy dog's speed would be so fast. Hua, and you were a little dumbfounded as they looked at the dragon and dog fighting against each other. They didn't understand the situation. Then let's just force our way through. The rich fragrance made Bufong involuntarily narrow his eyes, and the corners of his mouth slightly rose. That electric eel that had transformed into a man revealed a mouth full of sharp fangs, coldly laughing. The axe fiercely chopped down, and that electric eel expert who was releasing lightning was chopped into two halves. The light gate behind the strongest Demon King opened with a creak. The huge figure in the air changed, finally turning into a human form. With a face full of desire, it rushed toward the light gate. Then it raised its head, looking at the light gate. Bang! 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 Lord Go didn't think that once he came out, he would actually encounter such an unlucky thing. There's still that old turtle that won't die. However, before Bufang could prepare to force his way through, the strongest demon king, standing on the warship, had already started to attack. The entire endless sea was blasted apart. However, that immortal energy was absorbed by the system, so Bufang couldn't use it at all. Today, Bufang wanted to take a good look. In these 3 years, he had been waiting for this entrance to appear. The Black Dragon King gave in. He couldn't beat this dog. He had to admit this point. This was what all the oceanic species creatures thought. Some oceanic species creatures rushed out of the sea, wanting to stop the warship. Suddenly, the Black Dragon King's eyes slightly lit up. Many demon kings also had a strange expression, looking at the demon eagle demon king with a strange gaze. Lord Dog was lying at the side, holding a barbecued wing in his mouth and eating it noisily. It wasn't just the strongest demon king. Bufang instantly froze. Why did this lazy dog appear? Nethery was also nibbling crazily. She was enjoying the food. The light shadow indifferently scanned the entire place. However, the others were eating with relish, not caring about the Black Dragon King at all. The Lord Ghost said that in the Heaven Chief realm, there were many amazing chefs, and Bufang was still far from them. This time, he wouldn't miss it. Even if he had to force his way in, he had to go in and obtain a higher level of opportunity. The roasted wing had lost its skin, revealing the tender meat. There was oil flowing on the meat. The person who obtained the key to the entrance? The strongest demon king's figure was directly smashed into the endless sea from the void. The Black Dragon King seemed to have been revived. Stepping on the water column, he stared at the warship in the distance. Instantly, from the sea, a pitch-black dragon wriggled out, letting out a deafening dragon roar. Its eyes stared at the Lord Go, incomparably fierce. A finger pointed out. Hua opened his mouth, revealing an excited expression. With a ferocious leap, he threw himself beside the Lord Go, hugging the Lord Go's thigh. The Black Dragon King's heart ached so much that he almost went crazy. Water splashed, and the Black Dragon King's face was filled with confusion. At the front of the warship, a tall and sturdy figure stood with his hands clasped behind his back. The strongest demon king's body was surrounded by terrifying nether energy as he stared straight ahead. He had waited for 10,000 years, and today, it finally appeared in front of him. The key to enter the Heaven Chief realm. It seems like I accidentally lost it. What was being roasted was his heart and liver. The Black Dragon King's heart was bleeding. Looking at the people eating with relish, he laid on the netherworld ship, feeling like there was nothing left to live for. Bufang felt a little pain in his balls. Every time he rushed out of the sea, he would be smashed back into the water by the black dog. Fortunately, he was the Black Dragon King. His skin was rough, and his flesh was thick, so he could take a beating. Yu's eyes flashed, and she respectfully nodded her head. Bufang also tidied up properly, solemnly looking at the light gate. Turning his head to look at the warship in the distance, the Black Dragon King felt a familiar aura on that warship. However, the strongest demon king's attention was not on this. Instead, it was on the light gate above his head, which was blooming with extreme radiance. A giant scarlet axe appeared in the strongest demon king's hands. Terrifying spiritual energy spread out from it. Hua, and you also saw the Lord Go. A pitch-black warship leisurely sailed over. He took out the dragon bone kitchen knife, cutting the roasted wings on the grill into two. Bufang thought about it, and it seemed like this was the only way. Hey, Bufang brat, what's this fragrant smell? Above his body, arcs of electricity soared into the sky. Suddenly, the strongest demon king stood proudly in the sky, just a step away from the light gate. He turned around, roaring at the oceanic species creatures below. All of you scram. This opportunity belongs to this lord. Everyone was stunned, looking at each other in dismay. Hearing the Black Dragon King admit defeat, the Lord Go finally put down his dog paw. Striding with graceful cat-like steps, he returned to the netherworld ship. What was the legendary Heaven Chief realm like? The warship was trampled until it almost sank into the sea. The seawater exploded, and several terrifying oceanic species creatures rushed out. Was that the entrance to the Heaven Chief realm? Why did the Lord go and the Black Dragon King quarrel as soon as they met? The Black Dragon King was dumbfounded. Then, he felt as though he had nothing left to live for. His round, bald head seemed to become dim at this moment. That meant that Bufong had already lost the key to enter the Heaven Chief realm. However, the Dragon Gate was not that easy to jump. "You black dog, let go of my daughter!" The Black Dragon King roared, glaring angrily. One wing could be cut into two, so there were 4 pieces in total. The Lord Go calmly said, "This is that stinky electric eel. He actually wants to jump through the Dragon Gate." After the Lord Go finished eating the wing, he stuck out his tongue and licked his paw. He also licked the juice on his dog fur, not letting go of a single drop. However, after taking a step, his body stiffened. Who knew where this dog came from? His fighting strength was so high that he almost couldn't withstand a single paw. Jumping through the Dragon Gate, he had become a divine dragon. The Black Dragon King's eyes were bright. He saw many old friends among them. A rumbling sound rang out. The strongest Demon King's figure was like an arrow shooting straight up. Chapter 940. At this moment, the air was silent for a second. Only the howling wind of the endless sea and the sound of the waves hitting the reef could be heard. The figure standing in front of the light door slowly turned around, looking at Bufong. Although it was hard to see him clearly because his entire body was shrouded in light, everyone could still feel the anger coming from him. "What are you talking about, mortal? The immortal energy key is lost." The low voice contained a trace of suppressed anger, resounding in the sky. Bufong raised his head, looking at the light shadow. His face was expressionless as he said, "Yeah, I lost it. Do you think I'm stupid? You can lose the immortal energy? Tell me, how did you lose the immortal energy?" The light shadow asked coldly. The immortal energy key was directly imprinted in his body, so it was impossible to lose it. Even if others wanted to snatch it, they couldn't. This mortal actually told him that the immortal energy key was lost. Why didn't he lose his entire body? "If I lost it, I lost it. What else can I do?" Bufong curled his lips. He was a little depressed. The immortal energy was absorbed by the system. What else could he do? Moreover, a wisp of immortal energy had increased his business by so much. This was something that made him feel happy. Bufong was very satisfied with how he used that wisp of immortal energy. "If I lost it, I lost it. You mortal, you're really audacious. How could the quota this time be given to a bastard like you?" The light shadow was enraged, roaring in the void. Boom! The sea suddenly exploded. In the next instant, the strongest demon king soared up into the sky. With a stomp, waves splashed everywhere. "You dare to hit me?" The strongest demon king held the scarlet giant axe in his hand. His eyes were scarlet, and they were filled with a ruthless aura. The giant axe fiercely slashed at the light shadow. Instantly, a sharp axe shadow appeared, as though it wanted to tear the void apart. On the body of the strongest demon king, the demon marks instantly spread, covering his entire body. Roar! Someone from the Netherworld's ruined prison? That light figure seemed to be attracted by the strongest demon king's attack, and couldn't help but narrow its eyes. He actually met people from the ruined prison in the Hidden Dragon Continent. Had the ruined prison invaded the Hidden Dragon Continent? Buzz, that light figure indifferently glanced at the strongest demon king, then stretched out his hand. With a point of his finger, the shadow of the axe instantly dissipated. The strongest demon king was instantly blasted down from the sky by a terrifying pressure. Suddenly, it landed on the endless sea. The airwaves spread out, causing waves to roll up continuously. The light figure tilted its head and said coldly, "Do you want to die? I'll fulfill your wish." As the palm slammed down, it immediately turned into a palm of light that blotted out the sky. The waves caved in, forming a giant palm print. Everyone in the distance sucked in a breath of cold air. How could this light figure be so powerful? The Black Dragon King pursed his lips. Fortunately, he didn't make a move. Otherwise, he would be the one being slapped. However, the Black Dragon King glanced at the black dog lying not far away. He had a feeling that this black dog was stronger than the silhouette. Boom! An explosion rang out. Accompanied by an unwilling roar, the strongest demon king was once again slapped into the endless sea. The light figure clasped its hands, as though it had just dealt with an ant. Its gaze turned to Bufong, landing on Bufong's body. Bufong's brows twitched. Instantly, he felt a wave of powerful mental energy sweep through his body. There's really no immortal energy fluctuation. You weirdo actually lost the immortal energy key. That light figure also felt a little speechless. Since you don't have the immortal energy key, you have lost the right to enter the Heaven Chief realm. What a pity. You, a mortal, have lost a big opportunity because of your ignorance and stupidity. The light figure said, its voice not concealing its disdain. Bufong, who had lost the key, was like a mortal ant in its eyes. It didn't care about him in the slightest. Hearing the words of that light figure, Bufong slightly furrowed his brows. This fellow's words were really unpleasant to hear. Without the immortal energy key, he couldn't enter the Heaven Chief realm? But did he really have to go? Bufong took a deep breath. Then, he raised his head, still looking at the light figure with an expressionless face. What if I really have to enter the Heaven Chief realm? You don't have the right anymore. As long as I'm here, you will never have a chance to step into the Heaven Chief realm. Losing the immortal energy key is the same as losing your opportunity. You can only be a stupid mortal for the rest of your life. The light figure's words were sharp and disdainful. All the creatures in the endless sea felt a wave of pressure. Was that the high and mighty creature of the Dragon Gate? Bufong smacked his lips. It seemed like he really had to force his way in. All of a sudden, laughter rang out from afar. An old man slowly walked over from afar. The old man clasped his hands, and a tuft of white hair on his head fluttered in the wind. He stepped on the waves, looking high-spirited. The Heaven Chief realm. This old man is coming. The old man stepped on the waves, and his figure instantly shot up into the sky. Another person who doesn't know life from death? The light figure sneered coldly. In the next instant, it stretched out a finger. It wanted to smash the old man who had shot up into the sky. Boom! At the same time, in the endless sea, another explosion occurred. The strongest demon king dashed out of the sea, his body covered in blood. His eyes were filled with thick, murderous aura. Damn, the Heaven Chief realm. I'm not going anywhere today. I'm going to fight you to death, you bastard. The strongest demon king's aura continuously surged. In the next instant, he and the old man appeared in front of the light figure at the same time. The two peerless experts approached at this moment. The spiritual energy on the old man's body continuously shot up into the sky. His divine altar appeared, and the divine flame burned. 8 divine flames flickered on the divine altar, and his aura was almost invincible. However, the light figure was only a little surprised. He didn't panic. A wave of invisible mental energy spread out from the light figure's body. The old man and the strongest demon king were instantly stunned. The aura on their bodies stagnated. Then, they were smashed down by the light figure with a finger. Your mental energy is too weak, the light figure said disdainfully. Without the immortal energy key, no one can enter the Heaven Chief realm. This is the rule, the light figure said faintly. Glancing at Bufong, he turned around and walked towards the light door. He planned to return to the Heaven Chief realm and end this time's opening. However, just when he was about to return, an indifferent voice rang out behind him. Wait! Bufong raised his hand, looking at the light figure as he shouted. The light figure furrowed his brows, slowly turning around. Without the immortal energy, no one can enter the Heaven Chief realm. But I still want to enter. You don't have the qualifications. Then, I will fight until I'm qualified. Bufong said seriously. The light figure was bewildered. Then, he couldn't help but laugh. In the next instant, a terrifying pressure was released from the light figure's body. The originally violent storm seemed to stop at this moment. The surging sea was incomparably quiet. What makes you think you can enter the Heaven Chief realm? The light figure looked at Bu Fong with disdain. How do you know if you don't try? Bu Fong said faintly. The people around were already dumbfounded. They had never thought that Bu Fong would dare to challenge the Dragon Gate's creature like that. That was an existence that even the Black Dragon King wasn't a match for. The Black Dragon King also struggled to turn his head under the pressure of the light figure, looking at Bu Fong. His eyes were full of admiration. He admired Bu Fong's fearless spirit. Actually, he was a little depressed. It turned out that he needed an immortal energy key to jump through the Dragon Gate. When his father entered the Dragon Gate, did he also have an immortal energy key? Damn it, that old fellow didn't say anything to him. He had to wait here like a fool. Now he was shut out. That light figure was too strong. After all, it was a Dragon Gate's creature, and he couldn't resist it. Although Bu Fong was fearless, it was too stupid to fight against it. The Black Dragon King thought about whether he should open his mouth to stop it. After all, Bu Fong had a good relationship with his daughter. If Bu Fong was killed by the light figure, his daughter might be sad. Just as the Black Dragon King was hesitating whether to open his mouth or not, at the same time, Bu Fong's aura changed. His hair fluttered, and the vermilion robe on his body also fluttered. A wave of mental energy was like a sharp sword, tearing the light figure's mental blockade. Instantly, Bu Fong's figure slowly rose into the air. The light figure's eyes slightly shrank, looking a little frightened. The people around were also dumbfounded. The Black Dragon King's mouth dropped, his bald head shining. Bu Fong's mental energy wasn't weaker than a Saint's sovereign expert. If he used all his strength, he could even suppress a Saint sovereign. However, compared to the vast mental energy of the light figure, this kind of mental energy wasn't enough. However, Bu Fong's spirit sea surged with monstrous waves. A moment later, a loud dragon roar resounded. Bu Fong's eyes bloomed with light. A golden divine dragon phantom rose behind Bu Fong. The dragon bone kitchen knife fell into his hand, becoming bigger. Holding it in one hand, it shone with a dazzling golden light. Bu Fong, who had completely released his mental energy, was like a long spear tearing the sky, pressing toward the light figure. The light figure became more and more frightened. He found that his mental energy seemed to be unable to suppress Bu Fong. This mortal's mental energy was so strong. No, it wasn't strong. It was strange. This is the aura of an immortal tool. A mortal like you actually has an immortal tool. The light figure's eyes shrank. Then he roared in shock. Bu Fong's mental energy was mixed with the tool spirit's energy, which made his mental energy even more condensed. Now it was on par with the light figure. So what if you have an immortal tool? You dare to offend me? You have to die. Without the immortal energy key, don't even think about entering the Heaven Chief realm. The light figure roared. Rumble. Bu Fong expressionlessly released his mental energy. His mental energy and the light figure's mental energy collided, causing waves of rumbling sounds. Frowning, Bu Fong felt that his mental energy, which he had borrowed from the Dragon Bone Kitchen Knife's tool spirit, was still slowly being suppressed. Was this the mental energy of an expert in the Heaven Chief realm? If this mental energy was used to cook, no wonder the lazy dog said that the dishes cooked by the chefs in the Heaven Chief realm would be better than his. However, with a thought, the black turtle constellation walk emerged, floating not far from Bu Fong's body. An earthy yellow light figure exploded. Behind Bu Fong, there seemed to be an ancient existence slowly waking up. After the gold divine dragon, an earthy yellow-black tortoise, which looked like it was carrying a mountain on its back, also emerged. Bu Fong's mental energy instantly reached its peak. Instantly, Bu Fong's face became a little pale. At this moment, his mental energy had exceeded the limit of his body. The light figure was even more frightened. That mortal actually had an immortal tool. What was the background of this mortal? Was he the illegitimate son of the Heaven Chief, Realm's Realm Lord? However, no matter where he came from, at this moment he was the ruler. You want to enter the Heaven Chief realm? Dream on. Since his mental energy couldn't compete, he would use his fighting power to make up for it. In his eyes, Bufong's fighting power was no different from trash. Boom! The mental energy that filled the sky swept over. Then, the light figure raised a finger, pointing at Bufong's body. Terrifying energy was released. If this finger touched Bufong, he would probably be blasted into pieces. Bufong's eyes shrank. The vermilion robe on his body flashed brilliantly. He was ready to activate the invincible realm. However, just as that finger was about to touch Bufong's body, Bufong's eyes widened. That light figure instantly froze, because in front of Bufong, there was a fat black dog floating. Chapter 941. A Fat Dog. The light shadow's eyes instantly shrank. How could a dog appear here? Moreover, it could withstand the terrifying mental pressure and float between him and that mortal. The Lord Go wagged his tail. There was still juice from the roasted wing that he hadn't licked clean. Striding like a cat, he twisted his butt and swung his tail left and right. Bufong's face was a little pale. Forcefully urging the dragon bone kitchen knife spirit and the black turtle constellation walk spirit, which he had yet to fully control, made his body a little bloated. Below, the experts of the endless sea looked at the situation in the sky with strange faces. The power that Bufong had burst out was beyond everyone's expectations. Even a Black Dragon King was dumbfounded. They didn't think that the thin and weak Bufong, a chef, could actually burst out such a cultivation base. Looking at Bufong's true energy cultivation base, he was just at the divine spirit realm with one divine flame lit. In front of them, what difference was there between a divine spirit realm expert with one divine flame lit and an ant? One slap was enough to slap him to death. However, Bufong's mental force was really too terrifying. When it first burst out, it was almost equivalent to the saint's sovereign level. After the 2 consecutive bursts, it became fiercer and fiercer. Did this guy take drugs? Swish! In the endless sea, the strongest demon king and the old man with a tuft of white hair also climbed out of the sea. They raised their heads to look at the confrontation in the sky, their eyes flashing. That black dog finally made its move? The strongest demon king's heart sank. That black dog had always given him a feeling that it was a little like that powerful boss in Earth Prison. However, how could that boss appear in the hidden dragon continent? Hence, he had never been sure. This time, if the black dog could defeat that powerful creature from the Heaven Chief realm, there was no doubt that the black dog would become the boss of Earth Prison. He, the strongest demon king, had to lower his head in front of that black dog. The light shadow indifferently scanned the black dog. He was so angry that he actually laughed. Just a mortal. You dare to offend me? The light shadow sneered. A dog, a mortal, how could they stop him? Boom! The light silhouette once again set off a terrifying energy wave. The energy gathered and quickly formed a cone-shaped attack in front of the light silhouette. The cone-shaped attack flew toward Bufong and Lord Go. The void was completely torn by the cone-shaped attack. This move caused everyone's hearts to tremble in fear. Bufong's eyes widened too. He could feel a great sense of danger from the attack. Although the vermilion robe was invincible, he didn't know if it could withstand this move. On the other hand, the Lord Go was very calm. This calmness made the light silhouette even angrier. How could the black dog be so calm in the face of his killing blow? With his fiery temper, he absolutely could not tolerate such humiliation. Yawning, Lord Go raised his paw. A furry paw appeared in front of him. In the next moment, the cone-shaped energy attack was immediately blocked, and it was unable to advance at all. Everyone was bewildered. The light silhouette's eyes shrank, feeling extremely incredulous. What was that dog paw? It could even block this kind of attack? Crack! The exquisite dog paw patted, and the cone-shaped attack was instantly smashed into pieces. One paw had ended the light silhouette's killing blow. Looking at this scene, the corners of Bufong's mouth twitched. The Lord Go was indeed the Lord Go. On the Netherworld ship, Yu and Hua were cheering. Little Flower danced around excitedly. It was as if she had shattered the attack with a single slap. The Black Dragon King looked at the cheering Hua, and his heart sank to the bottom. It's over. That black dog's strength was enough to show off. Now, the black dog's position in his daughter's heart was infinitely high. As her father, he didn't know if there was still a place for him. No, not just the black dog. He, the Black Dragon King, also had to show off in front of his daughter. The Black Dragon King's eyes narrowed, and he rubbed his shiny bald head. With a stomp, the water column under his feet exploded. Daughter, watch how your father shows off his true skills. The Black Dragon King roared. His figure was like a cannonball, shooting straight up into the sky, rushing toward the light silhouette. Bufong, my little friend, if you want to fight for a qualification, this Dragon King will accompany you. F***CK. That bastard still has a big move. The Black Dragon King shot up into the sky in high spirits. However, in the next instant, he saw the light silhouette roar, and a dense cone-shaped energy attack appeared around its body. Each cone-shaped energy contained terrifying fluctuations, causing the Black Dragon King's dragon scales to slightly tremble. Should he attack or not? The Black Dragon King hesitated for a long time. In the end, he let out a cry and pretended that his waist was cramping. "Oh, my waist is cramping." The Black Dragon King screamed in the air, clutching his bucket-like waist. Then the aggressive Black Dragon King shot up into the sky. Under the dumbfounded and speechless faces of the onlookers, he smashed into the endless sea, setting off monstrous waves. The Black Dragon King's subordinates were speechless, covering half of their faces. The corner of A.O. Bai's mouth twitched. The ruler of the endless sea was actually A.F. King retard. The light silhouette was a little bewildered. Just now, something strange seemed to have fallen. However, he didn't think too much about it. That black dog could smash his cone-shaped energy attack with one paw. That black dog was incredible. Since it could smash one, the light silhouette wanted to see how many more it could smash. As the host of the Heaven Chief Realm, the light silhouette thought that he could receive all kinds of respect. However, to his surprise, these mortals actually contradicted him time and time again. They had even lost the immortal energy key. Even if they lost it, they still wanted to fight for a qualification. Were mortals nowadays so arrogant? Swish! Cone-shaped attacks shot out one after another. Compared to the first one, these attacks were much smaller. However, there were so many of them. These attacks were so dense that it made people's hair stand on end. If he was hit, he would be beaten to death. The Black Dragon King felt that he could be turned into a sieve by this attack. That was why he had a cramp in his waist. Lord Go glanced at the dense energy attacks. Indeed, there were so many attacks that Lord Go was too lazy to use his paw to smash them one by one. Thus, Lord Go chose another way to deal with them. The dog opened its mouth. Instantly, under the horrified eyes of the onlookers, it became bigger and bigger. In the end, it seemed to be able to swallow the sky. Thousands of energies were drawn into the black dog's mouth. With a grunt, the black dog swallowed them all. The light silhouette was dumbstruck. The onlookers were dumbfounded. The entire endless sea was silent except for the sound of waves. That dog was probably a spirit. Burp. Lord Dog let out a burp, and his expression furrowed. He wasn't satisfied with the taste. Compared to Bufong's chicken wings, the taste was like heaven and earth. Boring. Lord Go is too lazy to talk to you. A magnetic voice rang out. A moment later, the light silhouette found that the black dog had appeared in front of him. Bang! A paw patted his head. The light silhouette made a tearing sound. As if it could tear the sky, it was directly smashed into the endless sea from the light door. The waves exploded. My paw didn't smash it. Lord Go was a little bewildered. Swish! Steam rose from the sea, and steam billowed. That light silhouette rushed out of the sea. Half of its face had collapsed. Without a doubt, this light silhouette wasn't a human. It was just a clone. The experts of the endless sea all took in a breath of cold air. If a clone was so strong, than the real body. How terrifying would it be? Even the Black Dragon King wasn't its opponent. Who said that this Dragon King isn't its opponent? This Dragon King's waist is just cramping. When my waist recovers, I'll beat this bastard to death. The Black Dragon King floated on the sea, rubbing his bald head as he shouted. You and Hua rolled their eyes. The strongest Demon King and the old man were silent. They were very clear about this light silhouette strength. It was stronger than them, roughly equivalent to a peak existence in the ruler realm. The so-called ruler realm was a powerful existence that had ignited 9 divine flames and 9 marks of the heavenly ethereal realm. However, this light silhouette was actually just a clone. The strongest Demon King's eyes burned. The Heaven Chief realm was indeed a good place. Boom, boom. The sea's surface boiled. That light silhouette slightly squatted. In the next instant, it shot up into the sky, turning into a golden streamer as it headed straight for Lord Go. However, in the next instant, there was another explosion. Under everyone's dumbfounded gazes, the light silhouette that had just shot up was once again smacked down by a dog's paw. It was the kind of paw that lightly smacked down like a rubber ball. The light silhouette crawled up from the sea's surface. This time, half of its body had collapsed. How could there be such a powerful existence in the hidden dragon continent? Did he come to the wrong place? The light silhouette was a little confused. There was a swoosh. The sea's surface didn't have any ripples. The Lord Go landed on the sea's surface. Stepping on the water, he hovered in front of the light silhouette. At first, I wanted to leave a good impression on those old fellows in the Heaven Chief realm. But now it seems like I should forget about it. Your appearance is really asking for a beating. The Lord Go said casually. That light silhouette was dumbfounded. What did he mean by leaving a good impression on those old fellows in the Heaven Chief realm? Why did this black dog sound like it was very familiar with the immortal cooking realm? A dog that was familiar with the Heaven Chief realm? Wait a minute. The light silhouette's eyes shrank. Then, it stared at the Lord Go as if it had seen a ghost. You are... it seems you recognize me. Lord Go, I've become so fat. You can still recognize me? The Lord Go was surprised. The light silhouette shivered, its eyes gazing at the Lord Go. All of a sudden, the Lord Go raised its small dog paw, touching the head of the light silhouette. Don't send any messages. Don't talk. When we get to the Heaven Chief realm, I'll greet the Lord Go one by one. The light silhouette shivered. It opened its mouth, roaring. However, as soon as it roared, the light silhouette's body exploded. It turned into light beams, dispersing between heaven and earth. Swish! A token with the word Earth carved on it fell on the Lord Go's paw. An Earth immortal puppet? It's not a bad idea to give it to that lump of iron to Xiao Bai. Maybe that lump of iron has evolved again. The Lord Go tossed the token in its hand, its mouth twitching. In the next instant, it strode with enchanting cat-like steps, twisting its doggy, but as it returned to the netherworld ship, Xiao Bai's body flickered with lightning, standing on the deck of the ship. Seeing Xiao Bai, the Lord Go directly threw the token to it. A black hole appeared on Xiao Bai's abdomen. The token that fell from the light silhouette was swallowed by Xiao Bai. A series of crunching sounds resounded in everyone's ears. In the next instant, everyone went crazy. Bufong landed on the netherworld ship with a pale face. It looked at the Lord Go, but it didn't say anything. Then it looked around. The receiver of the Heaven Chief realm was killed. Up in the sky, there was only a bare door of light left. On the endless sea, all the experts soared into the sky like crazy. They turned into a sky full of people rushing toward the door of light. Chapter 942. The Dragon Gate's receiver had been killed. No one could stop them from leaping through the Dragon Gate. The oceanic species experts were completely stirred up at this moment. The Dragon Gate had an indescribable position in the hearts of every oceanic species expert. The Dragon Gate symbolized opportunities. Once they crossed the Dragon Gate, it meant that they had obtained an unparalleled opportunity. They could become experts and They could even obtain eternal life. Within the Dragon Gate, there was an opportunity to become a true dragon. In an instant, an uproar broke out. All the oceanic species experts, who were originally hovering above the endless sea, were stirred up at this moment. Boom, boom, boom. A giant sea turtle carried a shell the size of a small mountain on its back, swimming towards the light door. The seawater flowed in reverse, and a giant whale spewed out a water column, rushing towards the sky. All kinds of oceanic species creatures were completely stirred up at this moment. For their dreams, they dashed towards the light door. The strongest demon king stood on the sea surface, raising his head to look at the light door in the sky. For a moment, he was a little absent-minded. The old man laughed, rubbing the tuft of white hair on his head. His face revealed a look of excitement. With the opening of the Heaven Chief realm, he could finally come in contact with more profound culinary skills. He had already reached a higher realm. On the warship, the Demon King experts were also extremely excited. On the Netherworld ship, Bufong and the others stood leisurely. As more and more oceanic clans experts approached the light door, the door, which had been silent for a long time, finally unleashed a terrifying fluctuation at this moment. A dazzling golden hand slapped out from that light door. The terrifying fluctuation seemed to make the air difficult to breathe. Countless oceanic species creatures looked at this scene with a face full of fear. The dazzling golden hand swept across, bringing with it an unparalleled pressure. Any sea creature that came into contact with a giant golden hand would instantly explode with a bang, turning into a bloody mist that filled the sky. Broken corpses fell from the void, crashing into the endless sea, turning the entire endless sea into a sea of blood. The Black Dragon King lay on the water column of the Netherworld ship, looking at this scene in a daze. The eyes of Ao Bai and the others shrank. A chill instantly rose in their hearts. Fortunately, they were not blinded by the benefits, and they did not take the lead to charge forward. Otherwise, they would be the ones to die. The strongest Demon King's entire body shook. Looking at that dazzling golden palm, the corners of his mouth twitched. The tuft of white hair on the old man's head fluttered in the wind. His eyes froze, and the smile on his face gradually froze. Run! Countless creatures of the sea tribes were roaring crazily. Those who hadn't been slapped to death rushed back to the endless sea as if they had just survived a disaster. It turned out that the Dragon's Gate was still the Dragon's Gate. If he wanted to go there, he would still have a slim chance of surviving. How could this be? The Black Dragon King looked at the sky, filled with blood, and his pupils shrank. He was in a daze. Many of the dead creatures of the endless sea were his subordinates. It could be said that the Black Dragon King had suffered a heavy loss this time. According to the Black Dragon King's words, this Dragon King's world had perished. Of course, it wasn't that exaggerated. Although most people were blinded by the benefits, there were also many who were unmoved by the benefits. Hence, to the Black Dragon King, it was just a huge loss of vitality. The entrance to the Heaven Chief realm, even without a guide, isn't that easy to pass through. The old fellows of the Heaven Chief realm like to set rules the most. Ordinary people can't enter the Heaven Chief realm. Lord Go indifferently looked at the light door as he said, even if there was no one to receive them, the other experts would still take action. Then how do we get in? The Black Dragon King was stunned. How do we get in? Bufong's face was pale. Glancing at the Black Dragon King, he indifferently said, "Of course, we kill our way in." The Black Dragon King was slightly stunned. Why was this little Chef Bufong's murderous aura so heavy? Couldn't he just sit down and talk about it? Although this dazzling golden palm is strong, compared to the fellow that Lord Go smashed into smithereens, it's still not just a little bit weaker. Those oceanic species experts that were slapped to death were just too weak. Without the corresponding cultivation base, they coveted things that were far beyond what they could obtain. Naturally, they had to be punished. As soon as the Lord Go's voice fell, the strongest Demon King let out an angry roar. His figure stood on the sea for a long time. Unexpectedly, it rose again, becoming even taller. With an angry roar, his bullhorns seemed to release a dazzling radiance. His figure soared into the sky, rushing towards the light door. Buzz, the dazzling golden palm, once again slapped down from the light door. However, the strongest Demon King's eyes were blood red. Holding the huge battle axe in his hand, he fearlessly rushed towards that golden palm. Boom! Under the gazes of tens of thousands of people, the strongest Demon King and that golden palm collided. A terrifying fluctuation immediately spread out. The only thing that resounded in the sky was the furious roar of the strongest Demon King. The light was extremely dazzling. In the next instant, under everyone's shocked gazes, that golden palm was torn apart. The strongest Demon King's entire body was bathed in blood. Taking a step forward, accompanied by a heaven-shaking laughter, he stepped into the light door. Yes, if you want to enter the light door, you can only kill your way in like that bull. The Black Dragon King was a little stunned. Is this really okay? This Dragon King's wish is for world peace. However, after he said this, the white-haired old man also soared into the sky with a resolute gaze. His aura soared into the sky, tearing apart the curtain of the sky. Within the light door, another golden palm slapped out. The old man seemed to have used all of his skills. Finally, he tore apart that palm. The old man laughed loudly. His clothes were torn apart, and his butt was bare. Under everyone's dumbfounded gaze, he stepped into the light door. If you don't have enough strength, if you want to enter the Heaven Chief realm, your outcome will be the same as those oceanic species creatures. However, if you have enough strength, tearing apart the barrier and entering is also possible. The Lord Go said. In the next instant, the netherworld ship floated up. You clasped her hands behind her back. Her long, black hair cascaded down, and there was a light in her eyes. In the next instant, the netherworld ship sped out, turning into a pitch-black light as it charged towards that light door. The Lord Go glanced at you, whose face was solemn. Then he let out a long sigh. As expected, as the netherworld ship approached the Heaven Chief realm, a violent rumble resounded. Within the light door, a golden palm slapped out, causing the illusionary void to tremble. Rumble. The golden palm was covered with patterns. The patterns twined around, emitting a wave of mysterious fluctuations. However, facing this golden palm, the Lord Go just gently raised an exquisite dog paw. The dazzling golden palm was easily torn apart by this exquisite dog paw. This palm did not pose any obstruction to the Lord Go. The netherworld ship slowly moved forward, and under everyone's gazes, it entered the light door. Bufong stood in front of the netherworld ship, his brows slightly furrowed. In his eyes, the light door was constantly enlarging in front of him. Soon, as though it had passed through a layer of strange membrane, everyone's body shook. Bufong's pupils constricted. In his ears, the system's serious voice, which he had not heard for a long time, rang out. Temporary mission. Host, please open a branch in the immortal king city of the Heaven Chief realm. Mission reward. Cutting immortal style. Temporary mission. Bufong was a little absent-minded. He did not think that the system would issue a temporary mission as soon as he entered the Heaven Chief realm. After listening to the contents of the temporary mission, Bufong felt his heart shrink. A moment later, inside the light door, everything seemed to be moving at a speed that surpassed the speed of light. The surroundings seemed to be filled with twinkling starlight. Outside the light door, in the sky above the endless sea at this moment, the light door quietly stood there, blooming with light. However, everyone could feel that the light from the light door was starting to dim, as though it was about to disappear. The Dragon Gate was about to close. Lord Black Dragon King. The Dragon Gate seems to be closing. Looking at the Black Dragon King, who was still hesitating, but thought for a while, and then solemnly reminded him. The Black Dragon King turned his head, his bald head shining as though it was reflecting light. He looked at Bai, his face emotionless. I got it. The Endless Sea's future depends on you guys. This Dragon King is going to take back Ai's daughter, the Black Dragon King said. A moment later, his figure soared up into the sky. With a sonorous dragon roar, the Black Dragon King turned into a pitch-black dragon. Baring his fangs and brandishing his claws, he hovered in the air, flying toward the light door. He wanted to step into the light door. However, just as he was about to enter the light door, in the distant sky, a shadow suddenly dashed over. With a swish, it dashed in front of the Black Dragon King. What's going on? Can't you see that this Dragon King is going to challenge the Dragon Gate? Don't you know how to line up in a civilized manner? The Black Dragon King's face was ashen, opening his mouth to curse. Down below, the oceanic species experts, who were waiting for the Black Dragon King to show off his divine power, were speechless. They must have followed a fake Dragon King. All of a sudden, the Black Dragon King's cursing stopped, because he saw the shadow in front of him. With just a point of his finger, the shadow had shattered the gold palm. It was so easy, even more than that black dog. That fellow who had appeared out of nowhere was also a formidable expert. After that man had shattered the palm, he slowly turned around, his gloomy eyes raking over the Black Dragon King. "Brother, I'm sorry. I'm in a hurry. I'll leave first." As soon as his voice fell, that man flew backward into the light door, his face gloomy. The Black Dragon King gawked, dropping his jaw. It turned out that there was such a thing. And who was that fellow just now? Did the hidden dragon continent have another expert at this level? The Black Dragon King was bewildered. He used to think that he was strong, but now it seemed that he was really weak. Any random guy that came out of nowhere was stronger than him. Roar! With a dragon roar, the Black Dragon King soared up into the sky. This time, no one stopped him. A gold palm shot out from the door. The Black Dragon King roared crazily, raising sky-high waves. They hit the gold palm. After a long time, many pitch-black scales rained down from the sky. Under the watchful eyes of thousands of oceanic species experts, the Black Dragon King crawled into the light door. "Daughter, your Black Dragon father is here." Accompanied by the Black Dragon King's roar, the light door slowly shrank. Eventually, it disappeared. The Netherworld ship sped forward, as if it had surpassed the speed of light. After a long time, its speed gradually slowed down. Finally, the scene in front of them became bright. It seemed that they had finally finished traveling. Lorgo was lying on the Netherworld ship, snoring loudly. The speed of light didn't affect him at all. Yu's face was a little pale. She held onto the bed frame, constantly patting her chest. Hua hugged Lorgo's thigh, lying on the side, feeling dizzy. This feeling of flying at high speed made one's heart feel stuffy. Taking advantage of this time, Bufong began to slowly observe the surroundings. However, with just a glance, Bufong's brows couldn't help but twitch. The Netherworld ship floated in the middle of a dark green lake, and around it, a terrifying aura spread. Many experts, with auras not weaker than the divine spirit realm, held weapons, tightly surrounding the Netherworld ship. These people wore silver armor, and their faces were solemn as they stared at the Netherworld ship. From these people, Bufong felt a wave of murderous aura. Chapter 943. The air was filled with thick spirit energy, which seemed to materialize. It was somewhat unbelievable. Compared to the hidden dragon continent, the spirit energy here was much thicker. If there was a place that could be compared, it would be the Earth prison of the Netherworld. However, the Heaven Chief realm and the Earth prison were different. At least, the Heaven Chief realm was not as gloomy as the Earth prison. In the sky, the sun was shining brightly. The sky was blue, and white clouds were slowly floating. However, compared to the Earth prison, the people in the Heaven Chief realm were not so friendly. Bufong blinked, looking at the silver-armored soldiers surrounding them. The aura of these soldiers was very strong. The weakest one seemed to have a divine soul realm cultivation base, and most of them had the aura of a divine spirit realm expert. With so many divine spirit realm experts surrounding them, the pressure they felt was enormous. The divine spirit realm was divided by divine flames. Igniting different divine flames represented the difference in cultivation base. Bufong's cultivation was different from these people. He had the system. Others needed to level up step by step, but he didn't. As long as he completed the required turnover, he would be able to level up. From igniting one divine flame, he could directly ignite 9 divine flames. He couldn't feel other people's bitter cultivation. As his cultivation base increased, Bufong could also feel that his connection with the god of cooking set was getting deeper. Whether it was the golden divine dragon spirit of the dragon bone kitchen knife or the spirit of the black turtle constellation walk, they could all appear in his spirit sea. He could even temporarily move the mental energy of the two to fuse with his, bursting out powerful strength. However, the vermilion-robed spirit, Bufong, had never sensed it. If he could fuse 3 spirit tools at the same time, Bufong felt that his mental energy would reach an extremely terrifying level. Bufong came back to his senses from his contemplation. The surrounding experts were closing in, constantly pushing the netherworld ship toward the center. These people were not friendly. Their bodies emitted a murderous aura, which made Bufong and you, who were on the netherworld ship, become serious. If it was just one divine spirit realm expert, then it would be fine. However, there were too many divine spirit realm experts present, and among them, there was no lack of existences comparable to the strongest demon king. Furthermore, the leading expert's aura wasn't any weaker than that of the receiver of the light gate. What were these people trying to do? Looks like it's you guys. How dare you break Lord Tong Cheng's puppet clone? You mortals have guts. The silver-armored expert in the lead said with a cold expression. Doppelganger puppet, are you talking about the receiver of the entrance to the Heaven Chief realm? Bufong narrowed his eyes and asked expressionlessly. Mortal, you know something? Lord Tong Chung has ordered us to capture all the mortals who entered the Heaven Chief realm this time. If anyone resists, kill him or her. The silver-armored expert narrowed his eyes and bellowed. His voice turned into waves of air, causing ripples to form on the surface of the lake. Boom! In the next instant, 3 silver-armored experts dashed out. Their speed was as fast as silver lightning. Their long spears were like dragons stabbing out, causing the water in the lake to roll up. Bufong stood in front of the netherworld ship, his face serious as he stared at the 3 experts who were attacking him. His face was still a little pale, which was the aftermath of his confrontation with the receiver of the light gate. His mind flickered. The black turtle constellation walk instantly floated in front of him. Bufong's eyes narrowed. Then, the black turtle constellation walk emitted an earthy yellow halo. That halo covered the black turtle constellation walk, making people feel as though there was a giant black turtle slowly entrenched on it. Roar! The 3 silver-armored experts' faces were dazed. Then, they were hit by the black turtle constellation walk. 3 groans resounded. The 3 experts were forcefully slammed into the lake, causing water to splash everywhere. The black and white bandages on Bufong's arms scattered. He grabbed the black turtle constellation walk with one hand, indifferently looking at the large group of people in the distance. Is this how the Heaven Chief realm treats its guests? It's really disappointing, Bufong said calmly. You still dare to resist? The silver-armored expert narrowed his eyes, coldly looking at Bufong. Bufong's cultivation was actually not that strong. What was strong was that black walk. That black walk seemed a little special. Continue. I want to see how many people this kid can block. The silver-armored leader sneered. He waved his hand, and instantly, the sound of breaking air rang out. One by one, the silver-armored experts swooped down. The long spears in their hands looked as though they wanted to pierce a hole in the illusionary void. Bufong took a deep breath. His spirit sea instantly surged. A moment later, he smashed the black turtle constellation walk. True energy wrapped around the black turtle constellation walk, making it as heavy as a mountain. Those silver-armored experts wanted to resist the black turtle constellation walk, but in the end, they all failed. They were smashed into the water. Although they weren't smashed to death, they were a little dumbfounded. They couldn't believe that they were smashed into such a sorry state by a walk. The leader looked at the scene, his face slightly solemn. This mortal, his cultivation is not that good, but he has a good walk. You two go. Take this mortal down for me. The leader looked at the two silver-armored experts beside him. These two people's cultivation was stronger than the others. Bufong sensed that they should be existences at the level of the strongest demon king. After all, the Heaven Chief Realm was the Heaven Chief Realm. It was a little higher than the Hidden Dragon Continent. In the Hidden Dragon Continent, the strongest demon king was basically an invincible existence. However, in the Heaven Chief Realm, two random experts were not weaker than the strongest demon king. Boom! Boom! The two of them responded and took a step forward at the same time. His feet stepped on the surface of the water, causing ripples to appear on the surface of the water. Clanging sounds echoed. The long swords at their waists were unsheathed. Sword light flashed, aiming at Bufong. Facing the Black Turtle Constellation Walk, their faces didn't change a bit. They were confident that they could resist the Black Turtle Constellation Walk. In their eyes, Bufong's technique was really bad. He was just swinging the walk without any rules, smashing it randomly. This kind of method was effective against others. However, to them, who were almost half a step into the sovereign level, it was like child's play. In just a blink of an eye, they could subdue Bufong. However, the two stepped on the water, and their faces suddenly changed. Above their heads, there seemed to be a swishing sound. A moment later, they saw a shiny bald head enlarging in their eyes. What was that? A bald head? A bald head falling from the sky. What the hell was that? Boom! The two experts were slightly stunned. Then their faces changed. They raised their palms, wanting to smash the bald head that was falling from the sky. They were confident in their cultivation. However, their dreams were plentiful, but reality was more bony. The bald head smashed down. The two of them couldn't resist at all. They were smashed into the lake, heavily injured. A bald head smashing two people. What a weirdo. The bald head fell, floating above the lake. Behind the bald head, there was a gloomy figure carrying him. The Black Dragon King widened his eyes, his mouth tightly shut. He didn't even dare to breathe loudly. What happened just now? Did he hit something strange? Hades' Era flicked his hair. The clothes on his chest were open, revealing his white skin. With one hand holding the Black Dragon King, he used the other to cover half of his face, revealing a gloomy pair of eyes. On the Netherworld ship, everyone looked at Hades' Era, who was carrying the Black Dragon King, and couldn't help but raise the corners of their mouths. Why would this clown appear here? That's right. The person who appeared at this moment was none other than Hades' Era. Let this Dragon King down. This dragon is a dragon, not a lantern. It's not for you to carry. The Black Dragon King struggled in Hades' Era's hands. His bald head constantly flashed with a bright light. Hades' Era raised his brows. He loosened his grip, and instantly, the Black Dragon King faced the lake. With a splashing sound, he fell into the lake, creating a huge splash. Walala! The Black Dragon King instantly flipped up from the lake, floating in front of the Netherworld ship. Can't you say something before you let go? The Black Dragon King was so angry that his head almost glowed. He stared at Nether King Erha, his face full of resentment. Looking at the Black Dragon King as though he was looking at an idiot, Hades' Era grinned and climbed up the Netherworld ship. The Black Dragon King widened his eyes, watching as Hades' Era climbed up the Netherworld ship and pinched his daughter's face. For a moment, the Black Dragon King wanted to fight Hades' Era to the death. Hua has become fatter again. It seems that following Bufong young man is not bad. Hades' Era pinched Hua's face and said with a smile. Hua rolled her eyes at Hades' Era. She hugged Lord Go's thigh and harumphed. Daughter, your father is here. Do you miss your father? The Black Dragon King laid on the deck of the Netherworld ship, greeting Hua with a loving smile. However, it was obvious that Hua ignored him. Bufong looked at Hades' Era, giving him a slight nod. I didn't want to go to the Heaven Chief Realm. After all, Ai's identity isn't ordinary. However, after thinking about it, I realized that I didn't have any spicy strips left, and I couldn't imagine how I could live without them. That's why I came here. This is Ai's first time entering the Heaven Chief realm. However, this mangy dog has been here many times. Hades' Era said, had Lord Go been to the Heaven Chief realm before? Bufong had expected this, so he wasn't surprised. In the distance, the silver-armored commander's face was ashen. What the hell was going on? His two capable subordinates didn't even have time to use their moves before they were smashed into a daze. How could a mortal smash his subordinates into a daze? Were the mortals that powerful now? Damn it, it seems like I have to do it myself. To give Lord Tong Chung an explanation. None of you mortals can escape today. The silver-armored commander said coldly. A moment later, a long silver spear appeared in his hand. The spearhead seemed to have a silver dragon head, which looked ferocious and mighty. Boom! The commander's aura burst out, creating huge waves on the lake. A terrifying and oppressive aura emitted from the commander's body. Everyone, listen to my order. Attack together. Capture those mortals. Don't hesitate to kill them. The commander held the long spear in his hand, brandishing it as he shouted. Roar! The silver-armored experts surrounding the netherworld ship all roared loudly. At this moment, their auras were terrifying. Waves of aura shot up, making people shiver in fear. Even the Black Dragon King was startled, and his eyes widened. What was going on? Why were his friends in the Dragon Gate so unfriendly? Why were they different from what his father had told him? Hades' Era looked at the scene with interest. As it was his first time coming to the Heaven Chief realm, Hades' Era found everything new and interesting. Bufong looked at the crowd, exhaling gently as he put away the black turtle constellation walk. He turned to look at Hades' Era. 5 spicy strips in exchange for 1 attack. Bufong said. Hades' Era's eyes brightened, and the corners of his mouth rose. 2 more. There are a lot of people. Bufong was bewildered. Hades' Era, this clown, had learned how to bargain. However, he didn't mind. Okay, 7 spicy strips. Beat them up. Chapter 944. 7 chili strips. That's a deal. Hades' Era's eyes lit up as he gazed at Bufong, waiting for Bufong to nod his head. Instantly, a wave of excited cheers rang out. Hades' Era's figure suddenly shot out. The Black Dragon King lay on the deck. Nether King Erha's figure was like a hurricane as he sped past, causing his bald head to feel a chill. What the hell? The Black Dragon King looked over in surprise. What's a chili strip? How could it make that guy so excited? Nether King Erha's feet stepped on the lake's surface, and his figure instantly floated toward those silver-armored experts. The silver-armored leader's eyes narrowed, and a wave of murderous aura burst out. Kill him! The silver-armored leader roared, and his aura soared. Soon, it was like a scorching sun. He held his long spear and swept it horizontally, stirring up thousands of splashes as he pointed it at Hades' Era. However, to Hades' Era, these fellows were just tools for him to earn chili strips. According to Bufong, all he needed to do was to beat them up. Pitch-black nether energy surged, twining around his arm. A moment later, Hades' Era turned into a black shadow. Hades' clothes stripping finger. 1 finger to strip clothes. Hades' solemn and heavy voice resounded. The silver-armored experts were bewildered. Clothes stripping finger? What was that? A black light flashed, and the silver-armored experts quickly understood what clothes stripping finger was. This was the skill of a stinky hooligan. A loud boom resounded. The silver armors on these silver-armored experts exploded, revealing their naked bodies. A chill hit them, and the silver-armored experts clamped their thighs together, their faces filled with fear. F***CK. This guy is really a hooligan. The Black Dragon King was shocked, feeling as though he was a celestial being. It turned out that fighting could be done this way. Wait a minute. The Black Dragon King seemed to have thought of something, and he turned to look at Hua. My dear daughter, quickly cover your eyes. This scene is not suitable for children. When Hua heard that, he subconsciously raised his hand to cover his eyes. But after thinking for a moment, he peeked through the gaps between his fingers and continued to watch with interest. Hades's figure seemed to be dancing among the flowers. Every time he pointed his finger, a silver-armored expert's armor would explode. The leading Dominator rank expert's face instantly darkened. His subordinates were actually repelled by such a method. His spear thrust out fiercely, and there seemed to be the shadow of a dragon coiling around it. Facing this Dominator rank expert, Hades' era became slightly serious. However, he still pointed his finger. Hades' expression turned solemn as he pointed at the man to show his respect for a Dominator rank existence. Boom! His finger collided with the spear. Under the Dominator rank, silver armored commander's contracted gaze, his spear began to bend at a visible speed. When it was bent to the extreme, it would break. There was an explosion. The long spear instantly shattered, and the Dominator rank silver armored expert's clothes also exploded. His body flew backward, staggered a few times in the air, and fiercely smashed into the lake. Hades' era's face twisted. He pinched his fingers, his face shivering. No wonder he was a Dominator rank expert. That spear actually made his fingers hurt. Walala! In the lake, the naked commander-level powerhouse crawled out, his face dark. He gave Hades' era a deep look. He didn't think that there would be such a powerful existence among this group of people. This cultivation base. Had this person already entered the true immortal realm? It seemed to be the case. If that was the case, he would have to warn Lord Tong Cheng. A group of mortals actually had a true immortal realm existence. It was simply unimaginable. That commander expert didn't continue fighting. If Hades' era was really a true immortal realm existence, it would be impossible for them to defeat these mortals. It would be better to go back and report to Lord Tong Cheng. Thus, he didn't say anything else. That sovereign realm commander turned around, waved his arm, and ran off into the distance with his but bare. The other experts also responded. They turned around, shaking their white butts as they planned to run away. Running away just like that? Not interesting at all. The Heaven Chief realm wasn't as special as they had imagined. Hades' era looked at the group of people running away. Instantly, he melancholically ran his fingers through his hair. Rumble. All of a sudden, Hades' era's hand froze. He looked in front of him in disbelief. Their monstrous nether energy slowly gathered in the air. In the end, it became a giant dog's paw. That dog's paw was so terrifying that it seemed to shake the illusionary void. The faces of the bare-bottomed experts below were instantly filled with terror. The Sovereign Realm Commander's pupils shrank, and his entire body froze in place. Boom! The dog's paw didn't stop. Then it slammed down. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Those experts were all smashed into smithereens. There were so many powerful beings, but they were all dead at this moment. Bu Fong and the others stared blankly at the group of people disappearing in the distance. Then they turned their necks with difficulty. They looked at the Lord Go, who was lying on the Netherworld ship and slowly retracting his dog's paw. The Lord Go licked his dog's paw. His eyes rolled, and his magnetic voice rang out. In the Heaven Chief realm, you must eliminate the roots when you cut the grass. Otherwise, it will be very troublesome. Eliminate the roots. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Then they nodded their heads. Bu Fong brat, you owe me, the Lord Go, a meal of sweet and sour dragon ribs. The Lord Go said. After saying that, he deliberately looked at the Black Dragon King, who was lying on the Netherworld ship with his mouth wide open. The Black Dragon King felt the scales on his body shrink. You mangy dog, why are you looking at this Dragon King? This Dragon King can't eat it. The Black Dragon King roared in his heart. How could this black dog be so strong? This dog, what kind of divine being was it? Hades' era rubbed his fingers. Regarding the group of people that was killed by the Lord Go's paw, he seemed to be deep in thought. Different worlds had different situations. After all, the Lord Go had stayed in the Heaven Chief realm before. Therefore, he should have the most authority to speak about the situation in the Heaven Chief realm. Since he said that he wanted to eliminate the roots, then he must have his reasons. It seems like In the future, I also need to learn to eliminate the roots. Hades' thought in his heart. However, thinking about the 7 chili strips that he would get soon, his heart was filled with happiness. Bufong, on the other hand, was deep in thought. If the lazy Lord Go took the initiative to eliminate them, then it meant that if he let these people go back, there would be a lot of trouble. The Heaven Chief Realm seemed to be a world that could make the Lord Go nervous. The Heaven Chief Realm was incomparably vast and strange. There were a total of 5 layers, which were called the 5 heavens. They looked like 5 huge discs that were connected. Each disc was a continent, which was connected by a giant spirit tree that ran through the 5 continents. The people in the Heaven Chief Realm called the tree the Heaven Tree because the Heaven Tree would bear all kinds of food ingredients. That's right, they were food ingredients. Not only spirit fruits, but also some meat ingredients. These ingredients contained immortal energy. Only by cooking could one absorb the immortal energy from the ingredients to cultivate. Therefore, in the Heaven Chief Realm, chefs were the mainstream. And the chefs who could cook the ingredients on the Heaven Tree were even more sought after. In the Heaven Chief Realm, chefs were divided into different levels. Moreover, in each immortal city, there was an exclusive place for chefs to be evaluated, which was called the Heaven Chief Hall. Chefs who were recognized by the Heaven Chief Hall were qualified to open a restaurant and obtain the ingredients on the Heaven Tree. In the Heaven Chief Realm, the ranking of chefs wasn't complicated. From the lowest to the highest, they were Immortal Chef, 2nd Grade Heaven Chief, 3rd Grade Heaven Chief, Qilin Chef, and the Legendary Divine Chef. The Immortal Chef meant that the dishes he cooked contained 1 wisp of immortal energy, and the 2nd Grade Heaven Chief's dishes contained 2 wisps of immortal energy. And the Qilin Chef was beyond the scope of immortal energy. The dishes he cooked didn't contain immortal energy, but the true principles. A dish could even affect a part of the world. As for the Divine Chef, the entire Heaven Chief Realm hadn't had one yet. The current Qilin Chefs of the Heaven Chief Realm were the 5 city lords of the 5 great immortal cities. They were also the 5 great Qilin Chefs of the Heaven Chief Realm. These 5 were just low-grade Qilin Chefs, and the only high-grade Qilin Chef was the Realm Lord of the Heaven Chief Realm. However, that Realm Lord hadn't appeared for tens of thousands of years. As the Netherworld ship slowly floated in the void, Lord Go indifferently described the situation of the Heaven Chief Realm. The Black Dragon King was lying on his stomach, listening to him as if he was intoxicated. This was a magnificent world. Heaven Chief, Qilin Chef, Divine Chef. It sounded extraordinary. This should be the legendary heaven, a place with a lot of delicious food. The Black Dragon King licked his lips. Thinking about the oysters Bufong had grilled, he couldn't help himself. All of a sudden, the Black Dragon King was bewildered, looking at Lord Go. Then, Lord Go, what do you think Bufong's cooking level is equivalent to in the Heaven Chief Realm? The Black Dragon King asked. As soon as this question came out, the atmosphere on the Netherworld ship suddenly changed. Everyone's gazes landed on Lord Dog. They were a little serious and a little curious at the same time. Bufong was also a little bewildered. Just now, he was immersed in the Heaven Chief Realm that Lord Go had described. He had never thought about this question. Now that the Black Dragon King mentioned it, he was also a little curious. Lord Go looked at Bufong, yawning. Lying on the Netherworld ship, he was drowsy. Bufong, that kid. He's still far from being an immortal chef. This answer made everyone silent. Not even an immortal chef. They all knew Bufong's cooking skills. With Bufong's cooking level, he actually wasn't an immortal chef. How strong was this chef from the Heaven Chief Realm? Bufong took a deep breath. He knew that what Lord Go said was true. An immortal chef needed to be able to cook a dish that contained a wisp of immortal energy, which he couldn't do. However, even if he couldn't do it now, it didn't mean that he wouldn't be able to do it in the future. He was someone who wanted to stand at the top of the food chain in this fantasy world, the god of cooking. How could he stop here? In terms of cooking skills, Bufong would not shrink back. However, the first thing he needed to solve was how to open a branch in the immortal city. After all, this was a temporary task from the system. Completing it would give him a reward. The reward was a brand new knife skill, cutting immortal style. At this moment, he urgently needed to supplement his cooking skills. Hence, this knife skill was very important to him. The netherworld ship flew in the sky. Soon it saw a big, majestic city surrounded by mountains in the distance. That big city was so majestic that one couldn't see its borders. Inside the city, there were rows upon rows of houses. In the center of the city, there was an incomparably thick tree whose trunk reached the sky. The tree trunk was luxuriant, and countless branches extended from the trunk. It was shrouded in a thick spiritual energy, with clouds and mist lingering around, making it look like an immortal. This was the immortal city of the first layer of the Heaven Chief realm. It was the Heaven Tree of the Heaven Chief realm. The immortal city was built around the trunk of the Heaven Tree, and it was flourishing. And Bufang needed to open his own branch in this flourishing immortal city. Chapter 945. The Heaven Tree was located at the center of the immortal city. It soared up into the sky and filled the clouds. The dense clouds floated and wrapped around the Heaven Tree, making it look even more ethereal. The closer the underworld ship got, the more they could feel the enormity of the Heaven Tree. It was like a giant that could support the heavens and the earth, occupying more than half of the immortal city. The immortal city had towering city walls. The city walls were simple and unadorned, filled with the vicissitudes of time. On the city walls, there were mottled moss growing, with some lush green spreading on top, making the city walls look quite old. However, on such an old city wall, there were many patterns engraved, and those patterns formed a mysterious formation, protecting the immortal city. The hidden dragon continent is actually considered the mortal continent of the immortal cooking realm. In the immortal cooking realm, every continent has its own name, but most people have forgotten about it. Lord Dog lay on the netherworld ship, continuing to spread the knowledge of the immortal cooking realm to everyone. Lord Go was helpless. He actually wanted to sleep, but looking at the curious and inquisitive eyes, Lord Go could only continue to explain. The hidden dragon continent was considered a mortal continent of the Heaven Chief realm. Bufang nodded. He somewhat understood why the people of the Heaven Chief realm called them mortals. This Heaven Chief realm was just like the novels he read in his previous life, the world that mortals saw after they ascended. Actually, Bufang was a little curious, because Lord Go said that the chefs of the Heaven Chief realm were judged by whether they could cook the ingredients that grew on the Heaven Tree. However, it was impossible that all the ingredients came from the Heaven Tree, right? The reason why the immortal city gates of the Heaven Chief realm were built so high was to protect the wild and savage beasts from the invasion. Some chefs of the Heaven Chief realm would also go outside the immortal city to capture the wild and savage beasts. Of course, they would also go and pick ingredients. Moreover, every immortal city has its own farmland where they can grow fruits and vegetables, Lord Go explained. Bufang suddenly understood. So that was the case. While everyone was chatting, the netherworld ship slowly approached the immortal city, getting closer and closer. Accompanied by a roar, the netherworld ship descended. In the distance was the city gate of the immortal city. The city gate was incomparably tall, and there were many armored experts standing outside the gate. These are the city guards, the guards under the jurisdiction of the city manager. Lord Go raised his dog eyes and said weakly. Lord Go felt that he had said all the words he wanted to say in this lifetime. In the past, he was a little chubby, but he was cold and aloof. He never spoke more than a sentence or two. The Black Dragon King touched his bald head and said, "They're different from the people who chased us before. These people are wearing golden armor." Everyone rolled their eyes. Who couldn't tell? The ones who surrounded us before should be the guards of the immortal city's aristocratic families. There are many aristocratic families in an immortal city. The aristocratic families and the city manager work together to keep them in check. After all, an immortal city has so many resources. If there's no one to keep them in check, the city manager can cover the sky with one hand. If he makes any decision that goes against the natural order, it could cause a huge impact. Lord Go said, "Therefore, the power of each aristocratic family is quite extraordinary. This is also the reason why I, Lord Go, wanted to eliminate them. To be able to become an aristocratic family in an immortal city, there must be a top expert behind this family. That expert's cooking skills might not be as good as the city managers, but his fighting strength is definitely not weaker than the city managers." Bufong and the others nodded. The Heaven Chief realm was indeed different from the Hidden Dragon continent. The strongest force of the Hidden Dragon continent was just at the bottom here. No wonder the people of the Heaven Chief realm would say that the people of the Hidden Dragon continent were just ordinary people. You kept the Netherworld ship, following the crowd to slowly walk into the immortal city. A wide road was opened in front of the city gate, and there were many pedestrians on the road. Some of these pedestrians were carrying vegetable baskets, and the baskets were selling spirit vegetables that were emitting dense spirit energy. Some of them were carrying bamboo baskets, and the bamboo baskets were piled with jade-like spirit bamboo shoots. Without a doubt, these people were the commoners of the immortal city. Although they were just commoners, these people's cultivation had reached the divine physique echelon. It was impossible for a city to be filled with cultivators, so it was normal to have these commoners. This way, it would not make Bufong and the others look too strange. The guards of the immortal city gate did not stop Bufong and the others. There were so many people going in and out of the city every day, and sometimes they were simply too busy. Moreover, they also believed that no one would dare to cause trouble in the immortal city. The danger that the immortal city faced was actually the beast tide created by the ferocious beasts and wild beasts outside the immortal city. Those crazy ferocious beasts would sometimes form groups to attack the immortal city, wanting to plunder the ingredients that grew on the heaven tree. Basically, every time the heaven tree matured, it would cause a beast tide. At that time, it was when the guards would be on their guard. Hence, Bufong and the others successfully entered the immortal city. The Black Dragon King originally wanted to come to the world inside the Dragon's Gate to show off his might. Now, it seemed that even the city gate guard's cultivation was not weaker than his. What was there for him to show off? He just had to tuck his tail between his legs and be a dragon. Once they entered the immortal city, the hustle and bustle in the immortal city completely shocked everyone. The immortal city was really too flourishing, and every building was incomparably exquisite. Around the streets, there were also hawkers and restaurants with stalls. Moreover, as they walked along the wide streets, the flow of people increased. The distribution of the immortal city was divided into the inner area and the outer area. The outer area was basically where the commoners lived, while the inner area was where the aristocratic families and the city lord manor were located. Of course, there was one existence that was an exception. That was the Heaven Chief Hall. This building was located at the junction of the inner area and the outer area. Behind the Heaven Chief Hall was the City Lord Manor. Restaurants were more common in the immortal city. Of course, there were also other shops, but most of them were related to food. And the restaurants in the outer area were basically contracted by the big aristocratic families. After all, the resources of chefs belonged to the aristocratic families. To obtain the qualification to open a restaurant in the immortal city, one needed to enter the Heaven Chief Hall and obtain a chef's rating. To open a restaurant in the outer area, although one's cooking skills did not need to reach the Heaven Chief's rating, the chef's strength had to at least reach the special grade chef level. Basically, those chefs who had obtained the Heaven Chief Hall's rating would be recruited by the aristocratic families when they left the Heaven Chief Hall, becoming a member of the aristocratic families. In the immortal city, the resources of chefs were the biggest resources. In this way, the resources earned by the industries in the outer area and the chain formed by the restaurant industry would all fall into the hands of the aristocratic families. The aristocratic families would always be aristocratic families, and it was difficult for the commoners to have a chance to rise. And in the inner area, where there were many aristocratic families, it was not normal to open a restaurant there. Every chef in the restaurant there was at the level of the Heaven Chief. In fact, most of them were immortal chef and second-grade Heaven Chief. Third-grade Heaven Chief basically would not come out to open a restaurant for business. What they needed to do was to break through to the Chilean chef realm. Under the heaven tree, they would constantly practice their cooking skills. Hence, the closer to the heaven tree, the more excellent chefs there were. In the heaven chief realm, basically no one knows how to cook. When it's time to eat, they all go to the restaurant to eat. They even use the food in the restaurant as a substitute for cultivating, the Lord Go said. Bufang nodded. After waiting for a long time, they finally found an empty seat and sat down. At this time, a waiter finally came to greet them. The one who greeted them was a young girl. Her hair was coiled into a bun, and she smiled at Bufang and the others. Welcome. What would you like to eat? What do you have in this restaurant? The others didn't say anything. They just looked at Bufang, and Bufang slowly opened his mouth to ask. The young girl was slightly stunned. She didn't expect that the expressionless young man would be the leader of this group. This is our restaurant's menu. Please have a look, sir. However, no matter who was the leader, the young girl didn't care. After all, these people came to the restaurant to eat. The young girl smiled, took out a wooden menu from her bosom, and handed it to Bufang. A menu? Bufang took the menu, and his eyes swept over it. However, the moment Bufang's eyes touched the names of the dishes on the menu, his eyes suddenly shrank. Stir-fried heavenly spirit bamboo, 1 immortal crystal. Stir-fried fire spirit twin-headed snake, 2 immortal crystals a portion. Chapter 946. Immortal crystals. Bufang was silent for a while. Looking at the menu, he was a little confused. This was the Heaven Chief world. The Heaven Chief world was different from the Hidden Dragon continent. Even the currency was different. In the Hidden Dragon continent, it was crystals, but in the Heaven Chief world, it was immortal crystals. If you wanted crystals, Bufang had a lot of them. But immortal crystals, the corners of Bufang's mouth twitched. He glanced at the girl, and the atmosphere became a little awkward. The Black Dragon King and the others didn't seem to understand Bufang's expression. They looked at him curiously, signaling for Bufang to order. They didn't see the immortal crystals on the menu, so they didn't understand Bufang's current dilemma. They thought that Bufang didn't like the dishes here. After all, with the cooking skills of the owner Bu, he was qualified to look down on the dishes here. Although this was the Heaven Chief world, even if it was the Heaven Chief world, one couldn't just meet the Heaven Chief in a random restaurant. Should he order some? Bufang was very conflicted, but he didn't show it on his face. His face was still expressionless. However, his dilemma didn't last long. Since he wanted to eat, he would eat. As for the immortal crystals, he would think about it after eating. Moreover, Bufang felt that he should have a way to solve the immortal crystals problem. I'll order these 3 dishes. Bufang's face was solemn, and he didn't show too much of a strange expression. Hence, although the girl with the bun hairstyle was strange, he didn't pay too much attention to it. Okay, please wait a moment, dear customer. The girl nodded and gave Bufang and the others an official smile. Then, she took the menu from Bufang's hand, turned around, and walked to the kitchen. After the girl left, everyone began to look at the restaurant. Actually, this restaurant was very simple. It didn't have any fancy decorations, but the aroma in the air was very strong. This was the aroma of a restaurant, a smell that Bufang was very familiar with. Just from the aroma in the air, he could tell that the dishes in this restaurant tasted good. At the very least, it wasn't much weaker than his cooking skills. The Black Dragon King and the others curiously looked around. The people around them were all eating with relish. They couldn't help but drool at the sight. He couldn't wait to taste it. The dishes hadn't been served yet, so Bufang didn't do anything else. He sat on his seat, closed his eyes, and pondered. After a while, the girl returned with a huge tray in her hands. On the tray were 3 steaming hot dishes. Hot steam lingered over the dish, and a rich aroma spread out. The girl smiled and walked to the table. She carefully took out the dishes from the tray and placed them on the table. This is the braised fire spirit twin-headed snake that you ordered. This is the chopped peppers and 8-horned deer meat you ordered. This is the jadeite bamboo shoot you ordered. As the young girl took down the dishes, she enthusiastically introduced the dishes, reciting the names of each dish. The Black Dragon King and Hades era couldn't wait anymore. They rubbed their palms, staring at the dishes that were placed on the table. Their saliva almost flowed out of their mouths. Yu's face was cold. She stared at the 3 dishes, and her eyes couldn't help but narrow. Bufong took in a deep breath. These 3 dishes looked very ordinary, but the thick spirit energy lingering around them showed that they weren't as simple as they looked. The spirit energy in the ingredients was fully utilized, and the taste and heat control were excellent. Of course, this was what Bufong saw from the surface. He had to taste the dishes himself to know the specific evaluation. Thus, with that thought in his heart, Bufong picked up his chopsticks. He first chose the red braised fire spirit twin-headed snake. Red braised meat was a dish that Bufong was good at, but the red braised fire spirit twin-headed snake was a little different. Red braised snake was very strict with the control of heat. Once there was a mistake, the snake meat would be overcooked and lose its elasticity. He picked up a piece of snake meat and put it into his bowl. Bufong's brows slightly twitched. The chef's knife skills were not bad. At least, it wasn't much weaker than his. The bones in each piece of snake meat were removed, which didn't affect the taste. Moreover, the size of the snake meat was cut just right, which allowed the snake meat to be fully flavored. When the snake meat entered his mouth, there was a wave of elasticity. The fragrance of the snake meat, as well as the attributes of the ingredient, instantly exploded. The fragrant and tender snake meat made Bufong chew faster. The soft and tender snake meat was incomparably fragrant. Moreover, there was a kind of fiery feeling when it entered his mouth. This should be the attribute of the ingredient itself. It had to be said that this dish alone made Bufong feel a little surprised. It should be known that the restaurant he was in was just a restaurant in the outskirts of the immortal city, and the chef in this restaurant wasn't the Heaven Chief. However, even if he wasn't the Heaven Chief, the taste of this dish was already not any weaker than the dishes cooked by Bufong. The Heaven Chief realm is really interesting. Bufong chewed the snake meat, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up. The Black Dragon King, Hades era, and the others had also begun to taste the food. Seeing Bufong enjoying it so much, they couldn't help but be curious. When the snake meat entered their mouths, they exclaimed in surprise. When the jade bamboo shoot was bitten, a clear sound rang out. There was also the chopped pepper octagonal venison. The venison was so soft and tender that when the chopsticks picked it up, it was like picking up tofu. The taste of the chopped pepper was also not bad. It was just right to completely burst out the dish's fragrance. But this chopped pepper is still a little worse than the chili that Bufong young man usually uses. Hades era picked up a piece of chopped pepper and put it in his mouth, sucking in a mouthful of saliva as he spoke. The Black Dragon King had never eaten the exploding flame pepper grown in Bufong's heaven and earth farmland, so he naturally didn't know the difference. However, he still ate with relish. From time to time, he would give a thumbs up. All good, all good. So delicious. You, on the other hand, nodded in agreement with Hades era's words. Bufong's exploding flame pepper had a special flavor, and the texture was very good. Moreover, that kind of spiciness made people unable to stop eating it. Regardless of whether it was making fragrant spicy blood lobster or braised blood lobster, it was an excellent match. Standing at the side with a tray, she looked at the people tasting the dishes with a face full of smiles. She really liked to see people praising the dishes, because the person who cooked this dish was her brother. She had always believed in her brother's cooking skills. She felt that her brother would one day become the Heaven Chief. At that time, the two of them could move to the inner area of the Heaven Chief and open a shop there. Except for the exploding flame pepper, there's no difference in the ingredients. However, I feel that Bufong young man's dishes are more appealing. Hades era continued to eat as he spoke. When the girl with the bun hairstyle heard this, her face had already turned red, and a trace of anger appeared on her face. That's right, the girl was very angry. These arrogant fellows ate with relish, but their words were not praising, but actually belittling. They actually compared her brother's dishes to a chef whose name she had never even heard of. This was an insult to her brother's cooking skills. Buffon's face was calm. While eating, he glanced at Hades' era, saying casually, low profile, low profile. However, what Hades' era said made sense. Although this dish wasn't bad, it made Buffon even more confident. Because compared to the dishes he had cooked, there was not much difference, especially since these dishes used some ingredients from the Heaven Chief realm. Compared to the hidden dragon continent, the ingredients from the Heaven Chief realm were definitely of a higher grade. If you didn't count the difference in ingredients, Buffon felt that his cooking skills should be stronger than that chef's. Finally, the dishes were quickly finished. Looking at the messy cups and plates on the table, the girl took a deep breath, forcefully suppressing the displeasure in her heart. The smile on her face had already disappeared. She walked over from a distance, standing in front of Buffon's table, her eyes somewhat discontentedly looking at Buffon. It's a total of 7 immortal crystals. Thank you. The girl's voice was mixed with a little bit of anger. As soon as her words came out, she was stunned. This was because the expressions on the faces of these people who were constantly commenting while eating made her feel a little strange. Why were they so surprised? What was that expression on their faces? 7 immortal crystals. Was it a lot? The Black Dragon King's mouth twitched. He raised his hand, rubbing his bald head. What are immortal crystals? Hades' era also shook his head in confusion. I only know about crystals. Oh, and spicy strips. Immortal crystals. Could it be the transaction currency of the Heaven Chief realm? You now understood Buffon's previous strangeness. They had just come to the Heaven Chief realm from the hidden dragon continent. So how could they have immortal crystals? However, since they didn't have immortal crystals, why did Buffon continue to order dishes? This made you a little puzzled. The girl looked at the Black Dragon King, then looked at Hades' era, and finally, her eyes fell on Buffon, because she knew that Buffon was the leader of this group. You guys, don't tell me you don't have immortal crystals? The girl's face became even more unsightly. The Black Dragon King rubbed his bald head, glanced at the girl, and said, You little doll, what kind of big truth are you talking about? Bang! As soon as the Black Dragon King's words fell, the girl angrily slammed the tray in her hands on the table. No immortal crystals? Are you planning to eat and dash? It's fine if you want to eat and dash, but why are you commenting on the chef's dishes while you're eating? The girl's suppressed anger finally exploded, saying that the quality of the chopped chili was not good, saying that the chef's culinary skills were not as good as the chef they were talking about. The Black Dragon King and the others instantly shrunk their heads, because they were in the wrong. Many people who were eating couldn't help but cast their gazes over, looking at Buffon's table. Their faces revealed sneers. Eat and dash. The Heaven Chief's restaurants were all under the jurisdiction of the aristocratic families. These people dare to eat and dash. They were probably courting death. Buffon didn't care about his embarrassing situation at all. He just stood up, calmly looking at the girl. Although I don't have immortal crystals, I can use ingredients to pay for the food. Is that okay? Buffon said, his face expressionless, his tone indifferent. Ingredients to pay for immortal crystals? The girl was bewildered. After a long time, she came to her senses. Don't fool me. If you have good ingredients, do you think you don't have immortal crystals? You just want to eat and dash, the girl said. The girl's words made Buffon slightly stunned. What she said seemed to make sense. In fact, in the Immortal City, people mainly relied on selling ingredients to earn immortal crystals. If they really had good ingredients, they wouldn't be short of immortal crystals. Buffon felt that it was hard to describe with words. Thus, he directly waved his hand, and immediately, ingredients appeared one by one. There was a piece of demon frog meat in his left hand, a blood lobster in his right hand, and a large string of exploding flame peppers hanging on his neck. Buffon looked at the girl with an almost comical expression. Look at these ingredients. Are they okay? If not, I will change to another batch. Chapter 9:47. He had a piece of demon frog meat in his left hand, a blood lobster in his right hand, and a large string of exploding flame peppers around his neck. Owner Boo, don't you think your current appearance is very comical? Are you still the cold and aloof Owner Boo in our memory? When the Black Dragon King and the others saw Bu Fong's current appearance, they couldn't help but twitch the corners of their mouths. Hades' era even covered half of his face, laughing out loud. However, the girl didn't laugh. Instead, she was shocked by Bu Fong's appearance. This guy really took out so many ingredients? However, since these people had ingredients, why didn't they have immortal crystals? In the Immortal City, exchanging ingredients for immortal crystals was the most common way. Every day, the civilians who went in and out of the city gate went out to find some ingredients to exchange for immortal crystals. In the end, this group of people actually came to the restaurant with ingredients. Were they too lazy to exchange for immortal crystals? The girl didn't think that Bu Fong would really take out ingredients. Looking at the ingredients with spirit energy swirling around them, the girl's face suddenly showed some embarrassment. However, she didn't refuse Bu Fong. Instead, she looked at Bu Fong seriously. Wait a minute. I can't evaluate the value of these ingredients. I'll go find a professional chef. The girl didn't seem to have learned how to cook. She didn't know much about the value of many ingredients, so she didn't dare to make a rash decision. Although 7 immortal crystals wasn't a lot, it wasn't something that could be exchanged with random ingredients. It's okay. Go ahead. I'll wait, Bu Fong said calmly. The girl nodded, biting her lips. She gave Bu Fong a strange look, then turned around and ran to the kitchen. After a while, the girl came out with a figure. It was a burly figure with dense muscles. The sleeves of his chef robe were torn, revealing 2 strong arms. The man walked out, followed by the girl. Soon, they came in front of Bu Fong and the others. Brother, it's this group of people. They don't pay for the meal and want to pay with ingredients. The girl with the bun hair pointed at Bu Fong and said. At this moment, Bu Fong had already removed all the ingredients from his body and placed them on the dining table. After all, it wasn't a good idea to keep holding the ingredients like that. As soon as the brawny man appeared, Bu Fong couldn't help but turn his head to look at him. This glance made Bu Fong's eyes suddenly become sharp. This muscular man's mental strength was very strong. Although he was slightly weaker than him, among all the chefs he had met so far, apart from the mysterious chef who had been sitting cross-legged in the Bronze Palace, this strong man was the only one who was as strong as him. Sir, are you going to use ingredients to pay off your debt? Although there is no such precedent in this restaurant, if the quality of the ingredients is good, it is possible. The man said. This man was very cold, which was different from his strong appearance. Although the man was indifferent, Bu Fong was even more indifferent. He only nodded his head, then pointed at the ingredients on the table and didn't say anything else. He didn't expect Bu Fong's reaction to be so cold. He didn't seem to be worried at all. It seemed like he was very confident in his ingredients. Thinking about that, the brawny man's line of sight immediately went past Bu Fong, looking at the ingredients behind Bu Fong. With one look, the brawny man was slightly stunned. Because of the thick spirit energy bursting out from those ingredients, it was quite extraordinary. However, what attracted the brawny man the most was the exploding flame peppers. Those exploding flame peppers were like lanterns, completely attracting the man's eyes. The quality of these peppers seemed to be very good. The man's mind flickered, then he took a step forward. That extremely oppressive body caused the Dark Dragon King to involuntarily take a step back to the side. The man picked up the exploding flame peppers. When he touched it, he felt a warm feeling, as if there was a real flame burning inside the peppers. Moreover, each of these exploding flame peppers was very plump, with spirit energy lingering around them. They were not bad ingredients. At least, they were much better than the chilly ingredients he had prepared in the kitchen. Good, not bad at all. He didn't think that he would be able to get this kind of pepper. The man felt a burst of joy in his heart. As a chef, being able to get good ingredients was something that made people feel happy. This is a savage beast ingredient? The man's eyes turned, falling on the demon frog meat. It looked a little like a savage beast ingredient. Moreover, the spirit energy on it was very thick. It could be considered a top ingredient in the divine spirit realm. This kind of ingredient was worth a few immortal crystals. No wonder this young man was so confident. These ingredients were indeed enough to offset the price of this meal. Good, these ingredients are enough, the man said. This savage beast meat is worth 3 immortal crystals. This pepper is worth 3 immortal crystals. Finally, this... What's that? The man looked at the blood lobster, his brows furrowing. He had been a chef for so many years, but he had never seen this kind of ingredient in the Heaven Chief realm. What was that? Seafood? How could seafood appear in the first layer of the Heaven Chief realm? Who were these fellows after all? Isn't this thing worth a lot of money? Honestly, if this thing is made into a dish, its taste would be much better than demon frog meat and exploding flame pepper. Bufong was a little suspicious of the man's reaction. This was a blood lobster. No matter if it was the spicy blood lobster or the braised blood lobster, in Bufong's opinion, they were both better than the stir-fried demon frog meat. Of course, the demon frog meat could be cooked in other ways. If they were cooked in other ways, it might not be worse than the spicy blood lobster. However, that method required good chili, and the chili also needed to be processed. This process was more troublesome. This thing can be cooked. The strong man slightly furrowed his brows, staring at Bufong. Then he took a deep breath. Are you also a chef? Are you also a chef? Bufong narrowed his eyes. Finally, someone asked him like this. He suddenly felt an inexplicable excitement in his heart. Since you asked so sincerely, Bufong patted the vermilion robe on his body, his hair fluttering. He clasped his hands and raised his head, expressionlessly looking at the strong man who was a head taller than him. I'm indeed a chef. This confidence, this aura, the man's eyes shrank. He suddenly felt that Bufong was somewhat different. Such confidence could only be possessed by a chef who had great confidence in his cooking skills. In the Heaven Chief realm, what kind of chef would have such confidence in his cooking skills? Could it be that the other party was the Heaven Chief? However, the man didn't feel a trace of immortal energy from Bufong. Without a doubt, the other party was not the Heaven Chief. However, a chef under the rank of the Heaven Chief. How could he have such confidence? Your Excellency said that this thing is an ingredient. I wonder if you can explain it to me. Otherwise, I can't estimate the price of this ingredient. The man said, I'm Xianyuan Xiaohui. This is my younger sister, Xianyuan Xian. The man finally began to introduce himself. Since he felt that Bufong wasn't ordinary, he also introduced his younger sister. Xianyuan Xian was the girl with the bun. Instantly, she looked at her brother in surprise. She didn't expect that her brother would tell his name to these people who wanted to dine and dash. Could it be that there was something magical about this expressionless man? I'm Bufong. Bufong nodded, also telling his name. Little sister, my name is Hades Era. Nice to meet you. Hades Era took out a chili strip, holding it at the corner of his mouth. He moved closer to Xianyuan Xian, raising his hand to cover half of his face. Are you a chef? However, facing the approaching Hades Era, Xianyuan Xian snorted and raised his chin. Hades Era was taken aback. You can say that. Nether King Erha laughed and answered. He wanted to say that he was a chef. However, when he thought of the 2 brick-like chili strips he had cooked, he didn't have the confidence to say that. Sort of? That's not it. You're not even a chef, yet you're trying to flirt with others? Xianyuan Xian sneered. Although Hades Era was handsome, there were many handsome people in the Heaven Chief world. Hades Era was dumbfounded. Were the little girls nowadays so tough, saying that I was flirting with others? I just wanted to meet a new friend. Being snubbed, Hades Era smiled awkwardly. However, he still held the chili strip in his mouth and retreated to Yu's side. Nethery was the more aloof one. Xianyuan Xiaohui glanced at Hades Era indifferently. Eventually, her eyes fell on Bufong. She pointed at the blood lobster, gesturing for Bufong to explain. They didn't recognize the blood lobster? Bufong furrowed his brows. Is there a kitchen? Bufong asked. He didn't answer Xianyuan Xiaohui's question. Yes, but you can't go in, Xianyuan Xiaohui nodded and said, "Unless you can prove that you're a chef who has been assessed by the Heaven Chief Hall, you can't enter the kitchen." After that, Xianyuan Xiaohui added, "I can't go in?" Bufang didn't care. If he couldn't go in, so be it. Bufang shrugged. Then, more blood lobsters appeared in his hand. Those blood lobsters piled on the table, crawling with bewildered faces. Xianyuan Xiaohui's eyes shrank. What did Bufang want to do? However, Xianyuan Xiaohui didn't have to wonder for a long time. Bufang answered her. A jet of gold light flashed, as if it wanted to light up the entire restaurant. As Bufang's cultivation base increased, Bufang could feel the connection between him and the dragon bone kitchen knife getting closer. It was a good thing. As the connection grew closer, Bufang could use the dragon bone kitchen knife more skillfully. The dragon bone kitchen knife seemed to have become part of his arm. The knife light flashed. Bufang used the knife to pick up the blood lobsters. A plate was placed on the table. The blood lobster's head was chopped off, releasing the poisonous substances inside. Then, Bufang started to cut open the lobster's back, removing the venom. His series of movements were as smooth as flowing water, dazzling Xianyuan Xian, who was hiding beside Xianyuan Xiaohui. After dealing with the blood lobsters, Bufang's mind flickered, washing the ingredients with clean water. At this moment, the surrounding diners walked over with curiosity. There was actually a chef cooking in front of so many people. This was a rare sight to behold. The black turtle constellation wok spun in the air, becoming bigger and bigger. Eventually, it hovered in the air. The earthy yellow halo slowly expanded, emitting an oppressive aura. Xianyuan Xiaohui's eyes shrank to the size of a sesame seed. Looking at the dragon bone kitchen knife and the black turtle constellation wok in Bufang's hands, her mind was shaken. Those kitchen tools seemed extraordinary. Opening his mouth, Bufang spurted out a ball of gold flame. This flame made Xianyuan Xiaohui slightly furrow her brows. Just a mysterious flame? With these kitchen tools, it's a little low-grade. Xianyuan Xiaohui muttered. With his eyes, he could naturally see that Bufang wasn't ordinary. At this moment, Xianyuan Xiaohui also understood that Bufang wanted to cook these blood lobsters into a dish to show the value of the blood lobsters. Interesting. It's really very interesting. The corners of Xianyuan Xiaohui's mouth rose, and his eyes sparkled. Looking at Bufang's emotionless face, Xianyuan Xiaohui suddenly had some expectations. He hoped that the dish Bufang took out wouldn't disappoint him. Chapter 948. The Heaven and Earth Obsidian Flame wasn't a novelty in the Heaven Chief realm, because the energy in the Heaven Chief realm was thicker than that of the Hidden Dragon Continent. The Heaven and Earth Obsidian Flame that the Hidden Dragon Continent gathered was just a high-level flame here. It was just like Xianyuan Xiaohui, a chef who had passed the Heaven Chief Hall's test and obtained the qualification to open a restaurant outside the Heaven Chief realm. The flame he had was much more advanced than Bufang's Heaven and Earth Obsidian Flame. However, he was more curious about the kitchenware that Bufang had. Everyone knew that when a chef cooked, he needed kitchenware. A good kitchenware meant a lot to a chef. In the Immortal City, some aristocratic families had monopolized the sales of kitchenware. It was enough to show the importance of kitchenware. Xianyuan Xian's eyes brightened. This little girl had admired great chefs since she was young, because she had grown up with Xianyuan Xiaohui. Although she didn't have the talent to cook, her big brother had the talent to support the family. Thus, Xianyuan Xian had a persistent admiration for chefs. She had even told her big brother that her future husband must be a Heaven Chief. It was very ideal. Xianyuan Xiaohui just smiled, rubbing her head. Every Heaven Chief was arrogant. It wasn't easy to woo a Heaven Chief, unless he could woo a Heaven Chief since he was young, before he became the Heaven Chief. That way, Xianyuan Xian's dream would come true. And Xianyuan Xian had always kept this principle in mind. Bufang's knife was so fast that it was dazzling, making Xianyuan Xian feel a little dizzy. However, this speed was just ordinary in Xianyuan Xiaohui's eyes. Each of the blood lobsters was processed. A moment later, the black turtle constellation wok was heated up, adding seasonings. The chopped purple garlic, the chopped exploding flame pepper, the sun mother ginger slices, and the other ingredients were all placed into the wok and began to stir-fry, releasing a fragrant aroma. Bufang had cooked the spicy blood lobster many times and was already familiar with the steps and techniques involved. Therefore, he was able to cook with even greater ease. It smells pretty good. What's the rush? I'm just frying the ingredients. It's all right. I've eaten dishes that are more delicious than this. The surrounding diners who were watching the fun sniffed the fragrance in the air and commented with great interest. The fragrance emitted by the stir-fried ingredients was very attractive, but also a little pungent. It received mixed reviews. In response, Bufang slightly raised his brows in surprise. As expected of the Heaven Chief realm, had the customers become picky? Bufang's mind slightly sank. In the next instant, he used the dragon bone kitchen knife and placed the processed blood lobsters into the wok. Chi. A gust of hot air instantly rose. Xianyuan Shahui's eyes shrank. Gazing at the blood lobsters in the black turtle constellation wok, he had never seen such an ingredient in the first layer of the Heaven Chief realm. Hence, his heart was really curious. Not only him, but the surrounding customers also quietened down, looking at the blood lobster that was poured into the wok with some surprise. As the blood lobsters entered the wok and were heated up, the aroma they emitted instantly thickened. The blood lobster meat quickly solidified. However, Bufang didn't stop cooking. Instead, he held the spatula and the black turtle constellation wok, starting to toss the wok skillfully. The blood lobsters in the wok continuously soared up and fell back into the wok, repeating the process. In the air, he could smell the blood lobster's aroma. Although the spirit energy wasn't that thick, the aroma was unexpectedly thick. He took out a small crystal jar. It was the abyssal chili sauce. He scooped a spoonful, pouring it into the wok. Waiting until the abyssal chili sauce melted, Bufang continued to toss the wok. After a while, he opened a jar of ice heart jade, wine, pouring it into the wok. The gurgling wine, with a thick wine aroma, instantly seeped into the blood lobsters. Bufang's mind flickered, and the black turtle constellation wok's lid was closed, starting to stew. Xianyuan Shahui sniffed the wine aroma in the air, her eyes slightly focused. Good wine, Xianyuan Shahui said. Bufang was a little bewildered, looking at Xianyuan Shahui. Then, he threw the remaining 1/3 of the ice heart jade, wine to her. Looking at the wine jar that was thrown over, Xianyuan Shahui's eyes instantly brightened. Releasing his mental force, he steadily made the wine jar float in his hand. Patting the lid, gulp, 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 gulp. Accompanied by the thick wine aroma, the wine flowed down Xianyuan Shahui's throat, pouring into her stomach. Her mouth had long been shrouded by the overflowing wine aroma. She drank the rest of the wine in one gulp. Xianyuan Shahui contentedly wiped her mouth. It's really a good wine. This jar of wine is worth 3 immortal crystals. Although it doesn't rank high in the Heaven Chief realm, it's still not bad. Xianyuan Shahui's words slightly stunned Bufang. The ice heart jade, wine, didn't rank high in the Heaven Chief realm. However, Bufang didn't find it strange. The ice heart jade, wine was brewed when he was in the light wind empire of the Hidden Dragon continent. As his cultivation increased, the ingredients used to brew it also changed. But in the end, it wasn't a high-end wine. Bufang thought that if he took out the Frost Blaze Path Understanding brew, he didn't know what rank it would rank in the Heaven Chief realm. What about the even more awesome Acheron Helplessness wine? The corners of his mouth twitched. Bufang revealed a faint smile. In the next instant, the black turtle constellation wok was opened. The wok's lid was lifted. Instantly, rolling white steam accompanied by hot air surged out. It was incomparably fragrant, and the thick aroma filled the air. Bufang shook the wok, took out a scale-tail scallion, cut it into a few pieces, and sprinkled them on the wok. The spicy blood lobster was done. The bright red, spicy blood lobster seemed to be alive, emitting a thick aroma. That aroma spread out, causing the surrounding diners' eyes to light up. This aroma is much thicker. What a strange aroma. I've never smelled it before, but it smells surprisingly good. So magical. There isn't much spiritual energy in the ingredients, but when cooked, it smells so good. The diners were incomparably surprised. Not only them, but even Xian Yuan Xiaohui was shocked. Xian Yuan Xian curiously looked at the bright red, steaming spicy blood lobster. He didn't think that this expressionless man could actually cook such a delicacy. This dish is called spicy blood lobster. You're welcome to try it, Bu Fong calmly said. He untied the velvet rope that tied his hair, and instantly, tens of thousands of strands of hair scattered down. This? How should I eat it? Xian Yuan Xiaohui furrowed her brows. You don't understand. You still need I to teach you. Watch how I eat it. Hades Era's eyes were already red. Spicy blood lobster was a dish he had been looking forward to for a long time. Unknowingly, Hades Era had already appeared in front of Xian Yuan Xiaohui, staring at the spicy blood lobster in the bowl. First, you need to use your energy to form a layer of thin film to isolate your palm. Next, you need to take out a spicy blood lobster. Hades Era said. As he spoke, he took out a fat, spicy blood lobster from the bowl. Look, I'm going to twist off the head of this blood lobster. With a cracking sound, the head of the blood lobster was twisted off by Hades Era. In the next moment, Hades Era stretched out his mouth and sucked the juices flowing out of the head into his mouth. Yes, this was the smell. Even in my dreams, I yearned for this taste. Hades Era was in a daze. After sucking the prawn's head, Hades Era focused his attention on the prawn's tail. Bu Fong, young man, your back has been split open by this blood lobster. You only need to tear open the shell on your back, reveal the white and tender lobster meat, and swallow it. Lobster meat is the real delicacy. I can't stop eating it. Hades Era said. Then, he tore the shell of the blood lobster in his hand. The tender lobster meat emitted warm steam, looking like a piece of jade. It was extremely beautiful. Looking at Nether King Erha eating with a face full of infatuation, the surrounding customers could not help but gulp down a mouthful of saliva. In the Heaven Chief realm, they had never seen such a way of eating. Not only was it novel, but the taste was also irresistible. Try it. Do you want to show you one more time? Asked Hades Era. Then, he reached out his hand. However, this time, Bu Fong slapped his hand away. Grinning, Hades Era took out a spicy strip, holding it in his mouth. With a hesitant face, he sat aside. These people didn't know how delicious the spicy blood lobster was. Xian Yuan Xiaohui had only seen it once, but he knew how to eat the spicy blood lobster. He nodded, imitating Hades Era's way of eating a blood lobster. When he sucked on the juices flowing out of the blood lobster's head, that fragrant and spicy taste made Xian Yuan Xiaohui's eyes widen in an instant. This taste, Xian Yuan Xiaohui felt as if a meteor had crossed his mind. It was a completely different taste from the Heaven Chief realm. When he ate the lobster meat, his body and mind shivered. The tenderness in his mouth, along with the taste of the ingredient that he had never tasted before, made him addicted. It was a new dish, one that had never appeared in the Heaven Chief realm. Xian Yuan Xiaohui was sure. Bu Fong's dish seemed to have opened a brand new door for Xian Yuan Xiaohui. The surrounding diners couldn't stand it anymore. Some of them sneakily grabbed a blood lobster, imitating Hades Era's way of eating. In just a blink of an eye, the aroma filled the entire restaurant. The diners took in breaths of cold air one after another, making Hades Era, who was holding the spicy strip in his mouth, flick the bangs on his forehead hesitantly. These people, they didn't know how terrifying Bu Fong was. Xian Yuan Xian also ate one. After eating the blood lobster, the young girl's tender face instantly turned red. It was as if blood was about to drip out. Her lips were bright, making Xian Yuan Xian even more beautiful. This taste, Xian Yuan Xian looked at Bu Fong with brighter eyes. Her brother told her that if she wanted to get the Heaven Chief, she had to start from a young age. She had to get him before he grew up. This expressionless face seemed to be a good choice. Bu Fong clasped his hands. The exclamations of the crowd didn't surprise him much. He was already used to people's exclamations. This meal is enough to pay for the immortal crystals, right? Bu Fong looked at Xianyuan Xiaohui, asking casually. Xianyuan Xiaohui was bewildered. Then, with a stern face, she said, "It's enough. Good. The mountains will not change, and the rivers will flow forever. Thank you for your hospitality. Let's go." Bu Fong nodded, saying indifferently. Then he turned around, clasping his hands, walking out of the restaurant. The Black Dragon King and the others looked at the spicy blood lobster with reluctance. However, in the end, they still followed behind Bu Fong. Xianyuan Xian's lips were bright. Looking at Bu Fong, who had already reached the door, she was a little anxious. "Why are we leaving like this?" She hurried to step forward, shouting loudly. "Wait!" As soon as she said that, the surrounding people quieted down. Bu Fong was bewildered, turning his head suspiciously. You stood next to Bu Fong, her face cold. Her gaze was like a cold arrow, sweeping over Xianyuan Xian. At this moment, Xianyuan Xian was also a little embarrassed. However, his eyes moved, falling on Xianyuan Xiaohui. "You guys wait. My brother has something to tell you." Oh, Xianyuan Xiaohui, whose mouth was stuffed with a blood lobster, was bewildered. Her head was full of question marks. What happened? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.